Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, December 15th, 2012. This is episode 935. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Stamps.com. Start using your time more effectively with Stamps.com. Use Stamps.com to buy and print real U.S. postage the instant you need it, right from your desk. For our special offer, visit Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter Tech Guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. It's time to talk about computers, the internet, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, all that jazz. In fact, home theater coming up 33 to third after the hour. Scott Wilkinson will be here next hour. It'll be Johnny Jet, the triumphant return of Johnny Jet. He'll be talking about getting good deals for travel online. 888-827-5536. That's the phone number. Our website, techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. If you want to visit the website, find out about previous shows, 935 episodes in toto. 935 episodes altogether. Holy cow. And we've got show notes there for all of them, which means that you can go back in time, see what links we talked about, things like that. You can find out what it was that was on our minds in 2004, for instance. There's kind of a watershed moment in technology. There's two, I think, in recent years. There's 2007, when the iPhone came out. And I don't know, it's so funny how quickly we become used to these things and forget what it was like. Remember, before ATMs, you had to go into a bank? But we kind of don't think about that as much anymore. ATMs are just kind of the way it is. Everybody's got it. Before email, you had to phone people, So it's just we've kind of gotten used to that idea, and so we forget what it was like beforehand. Well, before 2007, let me remind you, smartphones were not so smart. They were terrible. We had them. Sure we did. There were lots of them. There was the BlackBerry, which was dominant. There was Nokia had some good smartphones, some really interesting ones, running its Symbian operating system. But it was so difficult to use. We just forget that it wasn't that much fun. And then the iPhone comes along and it's revolution. And even in the early days, the iPhone wasn't that good, but it revolutionized things. I don't know. Do you remember that in the early days of the iPhone, the first 6 months, there were no apps? I mean, we live in the world of apps. It's all about the apps, but there were no apps in the first 6 months. In fact, Steve Jobs said you don't need apps. He said, we're not going to have apps because, the apps existed. On the BlackBerry, they had an app marketplace and they had apps. In fact, I guess BlackBerry could probably sue Apple over that one. Did they call it the App Store? I don't think so. Maybe that's why they get off. They'll get off the hook. On the Trio, remember the Trio? Yeah. And they had applications. They were written in Java. They did a lot of. In fact, some of the applications we had then are still around now on the iPhone and on Android. So that was watershed number one, and that really changed our idea of computing because I think computing became all about portability, about having a computer in your pocket. And now I have, of course, I'm kind of overkill. I have that Galaxy Note 2, which is very hot right now, the Samsung Android phone, and it's a 5.5-inch screen. So it really is kind of like, it's a computer. It's a computer. More than a phone or anything. It's a computer. And then the second watershed was January 2010, 3 years later. And again, it was Apple when they introduced the iPad. Now, we'd seen tablets for years, since 2000. For 10 years, Microsoft had been pushing tablet PCs. And they were a specialty, a niche product. Nobody there were maybe some uses for it, but it wasn't anything anybody wanted. In fact, I bought a few because Microsoft kept saying, this is the next big thing. It's huge. This is going to change the world. And I said, great. And I bought them, and no, this is not the next big. This is so far from the next big thing. Same thing with the really original smartphones. You just knew this isn't quite it. And here we are, just 2 years, almost 3, I guess, close to 3 years into the era of the iPad, 5.5 years into the era of the iPhone, and everything's different. Everything's different. It's all portable. It's all mobile. The internet is everywhere, and now it's come down to, that battle, which is, getting high-speed internet into the airwaves. Forget your home. What kind of internet you have at the movie theater? That's what I care about. Really, very quick things are very quickly changing. I think it's fascinating. Square Trade, which does a lot of the repairs for iPhones, has been crunching the numbers. According to Ina Fried, writing in All Things D, Square Trade says that they know who breaks their iPhones in particular, more than others. Those with tattoos are 25% more likely to have broken iPhones. Hey, I'm not making this up. I don't think they are either. At the number one list of people who break their iPhones, stock traders. 40% more likely than a typical iPhone owner to report damage. I don't know why that would be. Maybe when they're on the trading floor, they're going sell. They have the iPhone in their hand and they accidentally throw it. I don't know. 40% more likely. People with tattoos, 25% more likely. As are those who own motorcycles. Well, that's the first one that makes sense because you drive, maybe falls out of your pocket. I don't know. Those who are, how can I put this? Romantically active are I don't know how to put this. If you're romantically active, you're more likely to have a broken iPhone. 15% more likely. That probably has more to do with age than anything else, right? I don't know. Big households and pet owners slightly more likely than average to report a damaged iPhone. Square Trade marketing chief Ty Shea said, we're surprised to see that stock traders and tattoo aficionados have something in common. And if you're a tattooed stock trader, you're sure to have a broken iPhone. Isn't that a weird? I don't even know what to do with that. That's just a strange story. But I couldn't help but notice. We also, today we'll talk, if you would like, we're going to have, so we have actually lots of guests on. So home theater and at the end of this hour. At the bottom of the next hour, Johnny Jett talking travel. Our gadget expert, Dick DeBartolo of Mad Magazine fame in the third hour. But I would like to take lots of calls between now and then. I would love to talk to you about your gadget purchases for the holiday. It's a risky thing to buy a Geek a Gadget, but I have some ideas, and I'd be glad to help you if you have some questions. Phone number is 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Outside the U.S., and we have lots of listeners all over the world, thanks to that thing called the Internet. The toll-free number is good all around the world if you use Skype or some other voice over the Internet protocol and you call us. 8888 Ask Leo, 8888 Ask Leo. There are some people in the chat room, and I know there's people out there who have seen The Hobbit. I know it's not exactly tech, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially if you saw it in the new 48 frames per second format. That is tech. This is what James Cameron, the director of The Hobbit, Peter Jackson, and others are proposing as the new film standard, twice the normal frame rate. Makes sense. The current frame rate for film was really created to save film stock, and because projectors couldn't go any faster than that without, throwing a rod, so they made it 24 frames per second because that was the lowest number of frames per second they could do and still have kind of a motion, lifelike motion. But that was 100 years ago. It's all digital now. We can do 48 frames. We can do 128 frames. We can do anything you want. There's no film stock to conserve in many cases. Peter Jackson shot the movie The Hobbit on digital cameras, the red cameras. at 48 frames per second. So I'm wondering if anybody saw it. Did you see it, John? No. I'm wondering if anybody saw it. Can you see every hair on Bilbo's toes? That's what we want to know. 8888 Ask Leo. We are going to talk high tech right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I was waiting. I knew there was a connection there. Kyle Benham, our musical director, once again, finding just the perfect song. La chanson juste. Nice job, Kyle. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. To the phones we go. And Denise is on the line from Santa Clarita, California. Hello, Denise. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
This is Denise. Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you. Thank you for calling. What can I do for you?
I have a Mac Mini, and apparently it shut down on its own, and I got a report. It's like problem details and system configuration on why it shut down.
Mm-hmm.
It said interval since last panic report. Anyway, I'm just wondering, I've noticed that it was...
What was the interval since the last panic report?
Pardon me?
What was the interval since the last panic report?
It says one panic since last report.
Oh. So here's what... It's not a big deal. Something crashed. Are you able to turn it? Are you able to turn it back on and use it?
Yeah.
It is. You're right to be a little concerned because it's just very unusual on a modern hardware, whether it's Windows or Mac, to see what you saw, which is they call it a kernel panic, and it means that something went so wrong that the computer couldn't recover and just shut itself down, and that's why that big report. If it kept happening, that report would be of use. If it just happens, once every 6 months, something goes wrong, then you're fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what it is that generally it means that there's some hardware thing. It could have been a power surge. It could have been just a blip. Because if it's just like Safari crashing, it's not going to do that. It's something more serious. Generally, it's a hardware issue. But don't let your kernel panic lead to commander anxiety, as Strength says in our chat room. It's really okay.
I just before that, I just noticed, like with the Finder, I'll make screenshots.
Yeah.
And it's very slow in opening up my little screenshot icon.
Oh, so you know what? Probably something was going on in the background. And now, is it faster now? Is it better now?
Like Time Machine going, like when I have my Time Machine?
Yeah, something was, well, Time Machine's going, something's going on. That could definitely have something to do with it.
All right.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I think that probably was related to the kernel panic. Some process had gone wild in the background and was taking over, and just as long as it doesn't happen again, or it only happens once in a while, it shouldn't happen more than once a month. Then it's just...
Your voice is so assuring because I'm right in the middle of finals.
Oh, you don't want to lose that paper. Now, you're backing up your papers and all that, right?
I am.
Yeah. That's the worst thing ever. My good friend was writing her master's thesis, was almost finished, and accidentally deleted it. Now, that would be bad. That would be bad. So, no, you're going to be fine, Denise. I think it's all right. If it happens again soon, like in the next few weeks... Then you want to take it to the Apple Store and say, I'm getting kernel panics.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's all right.
Thank you, Leo.
You're welcome. What are you studying?
I'm studying political science.
Excellent.
I'm doing an analytical paper right now.
Are you going to be our next Secretary of State? I think the job is open. Good luck, Denise. Great to talk to you.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Take care. Carlos in Southern California, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Carlos.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate you being on.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Giving us all the help we need.
I have a great job. You don't really have to thank me. I should thank you. Thank you for letting me do this.
Leo, I have an older Fujitsu Life book.
Okay. Oh, those were neat. I like those life books.
Yeah, they're very nice, and we have other laptops, but this one we use a lot for just quickly getting online, getting emails, and things like that, and it was actually a really useful tool. I wanted to upgrade the memory, and I did some stuff, and it looks like I affected the firmware.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Why? What's
and
happening? What's happening? What's the symptom?
Well, this is, it starts up, it's going to start up, and then it just hangs.
Where does it hang? What's going on the screen?
You know the startup sequencing?
Yep.
It does kind of begin that,
yep.
But then it just hangs there.
And do you hear beeps?
Not exactly. When you say hear beeps, you're talking about on a continuous basis, like beep, 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 beep,
no,
beep,
but
beep.
So let me explain how the boot process works in Windows. First thing that happens is you apply power to the system, and the BIOS, which is firmware, that's what you mentioned, boots up. And the first thing it does is something called POST, the power on self-test, where it goes through things like, is the memory seated? Is stuff working? Can I make display? If it cannot get past that, if it can't, in other words, display anything on the screen, it will beep, and it will give you beep codes. Those codes, the POST codes, will tell you what it thinks is wrong. It's not continuous. It'll be like, go beep, 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 beep.
No, it doesn't. I don't recall it doing that. It starts that boot up sequence, and then it just hangs. And
you never see anything on the screen.
No, I see. That's how you know that it's booting up. It does like memory check, that kind of stuff.
What does it stop at?
It's been a while.
Yeah, that's kind of relevant. So here, it's what most likely is that the memory you put in either isn't fully seated or is bad. Because if you can't get it working with the memory, right? If the memory is if it doesn't have RAM, it can't get past a certain a very early stage. In fact, that's one of the things the power on self-test does is check memory.
Right.
That's why I was asking for a post code, because there is a beep code you would get that says, "Hey, you got no memory."
Well,
could you take the memory out and see what happens?
Well, it has 2 slots for memory. What I did is added a second memory.
Yeah. So take that second memory out.
Well, before I did that, I called Fujitsu and told them, "Hey, I'm doing this," and they said, "Yeah, you need to do these other things and to install this." And when I installed that in the memory, it didn't go anywhere, and they said it wasn't anything that they did.
So try this. Would you just do this for me, Carlos? Open the thing up, reverse what you did. Take the memory out that you put in, and then try booting it.
I did. I exactly did that.
And so you went back to the way it was, and you got the same error message.
I'm stuck. Yeah.
Okay. So then did you remove and reseat the original memory? Because maybe that got knocked loose. You did. Yeah. Ooh, that's not good. Now you got a problem. It's probably
there's no way of reinstalling the firmware.
Yeah. No. Well, it's not that you screwed up the firmware. It's possible, but it's more likely that something who knows, maybe when you put the memory in, it shorted the motherboard. I don't know. There's a more serious thing. You can now. It's a laptop, right?
Yes.
So you can't. If it were desktop, you can remove the battery and short the CMOS to restart. But I don't think you can do that with a laptop. I think Fujitsu might be right. You might be out of luck. I don't know what the answer. Look, my Maple store. La 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 la. Oh, what happened? I got a Maple store. I'm thinking he put something in them. Oh, Flanders has something to say. That's my Maple store. He's standing in front of it. He says, "Oh, you can't read it. Oh, that stinks. Why can't you read it? Oh, I know why. Let's lower the brightness. Now can you read it? You can never read it. There's invisible text. I guess it's because it's a little out of focus." Oh. He says, "Hey, how are you? Welcome." Steve and Steve from Jersey and Oakland. Not related. IT consultant and his pal. Wait a minute, let me look. Don't tell me. IT consultant. Pal. How did I know? I don't know. I just could tell. You look like a consultant. You're clean cut. You're groomed. Pal is just like, I just got out of bed. I think all this Maple worship is blasphemous. It's like they're praying to a golden calf that has Wi-Fi. Get thee behind me, App Store. Make Ned browse the Maple Store. Do it! Browse the Maple Store! The light lights up. Oh, it's too bad it's a little out of focus because the focal length is like right here. He's browsing the Maple Store. In my little world. My little Simpson world. I've got lard lad donuts. I've built a home. And Homer says, "Oh, that's where houses come from." I like this game because it's so stupid. Congratulations, you completed Allies at last. Collect. Oh, now Bart's got something new to say. Why don't you build the android's dungeon? I'd love to. Then I could learn a bunch of preposterous superhero facts to replace all the boring facts I learned at school today. Oh, that's the comic book store, huh? I don't know if I can do it. Yes, 30,000? No, I need more cash. Well, I'm going to save up so I can have the comic book guy. Now, for the fun stuff. Meet at the Brown House. What sort of productive use of time could come from this location? You'll see. Make Bart paintball in the Brown House. Great. Somebody to face the high school. I have to clean that up. There's Willie the groundskeeper. Let's make Willie do something. What do you want to make Willie do? Play the bagpipes? Sure. Anyway, enough harvesting. Back to work. Soup. It's a soup day, isn't it? You and your Christmas sweater and scarf. It's 41 degrees in Petaluma. We're dying. I was walked to work, and the guy said, "It's like skiing, isn't it?" I said, "Yes. This is not California." So, you're from Jersey, and you're from Oakland. You're originally from Jersey, and you escaped to Oakland. I think you made a mistake. No, Oakland's not. What do you do? What do you do there? Ah, that's good. That's great. What do you do for the city? Ah, neat. Yeah, that's cool. One call does it all. That's right. 311. Yeah, that only works. Do other cities do that? It's a great idea. Instead of 911, well, I mean, you have 911, but you have 311 too, where you can find out, all sorts of. Yeah. Why is the power out? What's going on? Yeah. Traffic. Where's my Muni bus? No. Scott Wilkinson is our home theater guru. Joins us each and every week at this time to talk about home theater. And I believe I can say this with confidence. You saw The Hobbit.
Actually, I went to see The Hobbit.
Yes.
I went last night.
Yes.
Courtesy of Dolby, I must give them a shout out and a thanks for inviting me to see The Hobbit at high frame rate
in Atmos.
In Dolby Atmos, yes.
Ooh.
And so
when Gandalf hits you on the head with his staff, you hear it coming from above.
That's exactly right. Now, like I said, I went to see it.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
I didn't actually see it.
What happened?
The projector crashed.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh.
I know. And believe me, the audience was getting very ugly.
The projector crashed.
The projector crashed.
Did you get to see at least the 20-minute story of smog at the beginning?
No.
Nothing.
It crashed. It crashed during the Dolby Atmos trailer demo thing, which is beautiful.
Dolby must have been so embarrassed. They invite journalists to come see The Hobbit at an Atmos theater to see their new sound system, and the sound system crashes.
No, the sound system. No. The sound system was fine.
No, I'm sorry. The promo for the sound system
the visuals of the promo for the sound system.
Crashes the projector.
Well, I don't think it was that crashed the projector. I think the projector was faulty. Although I talked to the theater people afterwards as we were ushered out of the theater when we were told, we're sorry, we can't show this movie right now.
Holy cow.
It was quickly flashing red bands on the screen, like these bands of red.
They should call the tech guy. They had a kernel panic. I could walk them through it. They just had to reboot.
Well, Now here's the other weird thing.
Wow.
I found out later that projector had been working, the two projectors, actually a twin projector setup for 3D in an AMC ETX theater, not IMAX. And they said it had been working fine earlier in the day. They'd done a couple other presentations earlier in the day and hadn't had a problem.
These are digital projectors. These are computers. They're just computers.
That's right.
And, anybody who listens to this show for more than 10 minutes knows what happens when computers, they crash.
They crash now and again. And another interesting thing I found out was there was a Dolby tech on hand. He was going to be there the entire time to make sure the Dolby Atmos worked, which it did. There was no projector tech on hand. And so the Dolby tech, I think, was trying desperately to try and solve the problem, and they tried restarting the movie like 3 or 4 times.
Now, was it just you, or were there a bunch of people, guests of Dolby there?
Well, there were a bunch. Dolby.
Oh God, that's
Dolby had reserved.
Now in Atmos. Now, when a digital projector crashes, it's not as fun as when a film projector crashes. I love it when the film gets stuck in the gate and then melts and catches on fire. That's really great. This is not really that interesting. It just went black, probably.
No. It flashed these red bands, horizontal bands across the screen.
Wow.
Just flash, 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 flash in the upper part of the screen and the lower part of the screen. And the audience starts grumbling, and then they start, fix it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the movie and
this
and
is
the
opening
night,
right? This is opening night.
Opening night.
People waited in line for a day to get in.
Well, the reason I went, Dolby offered me 2 different theaters to go to. One, essentially down the street from me, but no reserved seating. So I would have had to got there early. And it wasn't in HFR, high frame rate.
Right.
The other one was over the hill on a Friday evening, so like traffic was going to be horrible. But it was assigned seating, and it was high frame rate. And so I said, I'm going to make the sacrifice. I'm going to go over the hill. It's assigned seating, so I don't have to get there, 4, 5, 10 hours early and wait in line to get a reasonable seat, so I'm not sitting in the front row.
Like normal people would do. Like I'm going to do next Friday, because I'm not seeing it this weekend. I'm going to go see it next Friday. Because I want to see it in IMAX with high frame rate. And there's one theater in the Bay Area. It's in San Francisco, so I'm going to go down on Friday. We bought 20 tickets. We're taking the staff, some of the staff.
I think that's great. That's great. I was so looking forward to being able to give you a report.
Well, in a way I'm not, because I'm starting to see the early returns, and they're not good.
Well, some of them aren't. That's true.
It's currently just over 60% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's barely passing the tomato meter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, certainly a lot of people are saying it looks kind of fake. It looks hyper real.
That's
is
that the 48 frame rate, or is that?
Yeah.
So that would be only those who see it in that theater.
Correct.
Yeah.
Only people who see it in the high frame rate, which is what I'm most interested in seeing.
Right.
I've seen clips of 48 and even 60 frames per second, but I haven't sat through a 2-hour, 45-minute movie at that frame rate to see what it really is like. Now, I had a pretty good seat. I was about halfway back, and a little off to the side, but not bad. And I had my sound meter all ready to measure the sound levels.
You nerd, you!
I'm a total geek. What can I tell you?
Well, this is disappointing.
It was very disappointing, and they did. One of the theater representatives was collecting ticket stubs as we were all filing out, and they were giving us free passes to come back another time.
I want a gift basket.
Yeah, well, and he was dressed as Gandalf. That was pretty funny.
Oh, that's neat. You shall not pass. The projector's broken.
You shall not pass.
You shall not pass. Give me your ticket stub. That's good.
And everybody was really mad that he couldn't fix the projector.
Yeah, just wave your wand, man.
Wave your wand and fix the projector.
Well, if it weren't made with cheap plastic resin, like something out of a Wiccan gift shop,
now,
maybe.
I have to say it wasn't Dolby's fault. I can't fault them at all. The Atmos sounded fine, but the visuals were intolerable, and so they even stopped the projection. And they were trying to fix it, and then they tried to start up the movie from that point again, and everybody in the audience was screaming, "No, go back to the beginning!"
That's what you want—a loudmouth audience.
It was a very loudmouth audience.
I'd be furious. What town was this in?
It was in Century City, at the Westfield.
So you got
Mall.
an industry crowd there too. This is not. Yeah. These are not average people. You got J-Lo in the audience. This is serious stuff.
I was sitting next to a guy who we were watching the trailers, the previews, and he was going, "Yeah, I worked on that. Yeah, I worked on that. Yeah, I worked on that one too."
Wow.
I was disappointed. Of course, I was pissed off, but there wasn't anything I could do.
No.
So I just, took some notes.
I have to say, I mean, this is people. The world is run by computers now, but computers are not necessarily more reliable. In some cases, they're even less reliable than their analog counterparts.
Well, and I also suspect that there might be some technical glitches about this 48 frames per second.
This is a new format, right?
It's a new format.
Yeah.
Exactly. The first time it's been used in a mass way. And so I wasn't all that surprised. I mean, I was kind of, especially since it had worked earlier in the day.
Well, give us a review of the trailers.
Okay, well, there were actually some good trailers. There was not the 9-minute Star Trek II one. We did see a trailer for Star Trek II, but it wasn't all that. It wasn't that long, but it looks like it's going to be great.
Yeah. What else? What trailers do they show in front of the Hobbit? They probably showed Superman, right?
Yes, they did.
I'm excited about the new Superman. All right, well, hang on, because we're going to give you a chance to answer some questions and so forth.
Sure.
Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy, our disappointed home theater guy, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So was the whole theater screening, or were there regular off-the-street people?
There were some regular off-the-street people there, too. The Dolby had reserved some number of seats. For all your
scanning needs, you need to check out Epson document scanners. They're affordable. There were no obvious... You are a kind man. You came back all the way. Should I have clam chowder, split pea with ham,
I'm going to step away for just a second.
Yes,
I'll be right back.
Or beef... I know. Cross off the chili. I think clam chowder would be good today. Yeah, it's a clam chowder, and a large clam chowder. It's a clam chowder day. For a change, we can put this on there. You may edit this out. Now we can see what he's got in his studio there. What kind of speakers and all that. Well, And I'm going to the IMAX one because I think IMAX 3D is maybe a little. I don't know. I've never seen a movie in IMAX 3D. Actually, I have. I saw one of the early IMAX 3D movies where you had to put the glasses on and take them off. They'd say there's going to be a little dot in the screen or something. Put on your glasses. I think it was Superman or something. I think it was Superman. And so you have to put on your glasses. Okay, that's 3D. Okay, now take them off because it's not 3D. So I don't like 3D. It's dim. The IMAX 3D is not as dim, I think. Right, Scott? The IMAX 3D is not as dim as the real 3D.
Correct. 3D. Well, yes and no. IMAX 3D is the brightest 3D because they use two projectors. Now, if you go to, pardon me, a normal Real D theater only uses one projector, and so it won't be as bright. And
that's what we have here, and I don't like it.
Well, if it's an AMC has a sort of a special theater in some of their cineplexes called ETX, Extended Theater Experience. And that is Real D 3D, but using two projectors.
I thought you told me that you couldn't have Atmos and 48 frame. Oh, no, you can't have Atmos and IMAX.
Correct.
That's it.
Correct. Can't have Atmos and
IMAX has its own system.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
I was thrilled to be able to go and experience both of those things.
Sure. And
you
won't, and that's the thing, you won't really be paying attention to the movie anyway. You'll be going.
Well,
you can say, "Well, I'm seeing 98 dB sound pressure."
You know what was amazing to me? I measured the trailers, and the trailers were not overly loud. Usually, you go to the cinema,
They feel like
and
they
the
are.
trailers are even louder than the movie.
Yeah.
It feels like anyway.
Yeah.
But in this case, they simply weren't. I mean, I've got my notes here, and I was measuring an average over the entire trailer sequence of 80 dB.
Oh, that's not bad.
Which is not bad.
I listen louder at home.
That may be. Yeah, and it only went above 78 33% of the time. So,
Like I said, Scott's going to go, but he's not going to really be paying attention to the movie.
oh, sure I am. Of course. You know, once I get my meter set up and everything, I just, it's just sitting there.
Oh,
and
the
I'm
meter
just,
records the whole time. You don't have to pay attention to it. Oh,
No.
it's a recording meter. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, it's a logging meter. It's a very expensive meter.
That's kind of neat.
It is, yeah. I find it very interesting.
Sure. That's really neat. Yeah, so you don't have to pay attention.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was gonna pay attention to the movie. Now I have to tell you,
Dr. Co Candy in our chat room says, in a world where trailers are played at a normal volume, there's one man with his decibel meter ready to record at any moment.
That's right.
Yes. All right, here we go.
Oh man. In a world.
In a world.
We actually had some really nice previews. A new Tom Cruise movie called Oblivion.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that, yeah.
That looks pretty good. A new Will Smith movie called After Earth, another apocalyptic
Not
movie.
32 is your live read.
He's like the end of the earth guy now.
Oh, and The Lone Ranger.
Oh, this ticket taker really takes his job too seriously. Look at that. Flame, fire, a Balrog. Come on. You teenagers can't sneak in here. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Scott Wilkinson's here. He is a columnist at The Secrets of Home Theater and Hi-Fi magazine. That's hometheaterhifi.com. And does a weekly show on our network all about home theater called Home Theater Geeks. It's at twit.tv/HTG. He does that every Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So
be sure to tune in this week when
yeah.
I will have on Ralph Potts, the Blu-ray reviewer on AVS Forum.
Wasn't he on Happy Days?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's Potsy.
Oh, okay, never mind.
No, we're going to be giving you last-minute stocking stuffer ideas about the best Blu-rays.
Oh. Now, I still have that Oppo that you told me to get. Or are you talking about the discs? I'm
talking about
content.
the discs.
Yeah, the movies.
Exactly.
Excellent.
What to look for in a good Blu-ray transfer, a good Blu-ray movie. The movie itself may or may not be good. That's more of a subjective thing. But we're going to talk about
We're not reviewing the movie, just the transfer.
That's all I care about.
Please understand. Yeah.
So you were asking about trailers. I just wanted to give everybody an idea. The Lone Ranger.
That looks good.
With Johnny Depp as Tonto.
Yeah, this is really Tonto's story, obviously.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And it looks really good. It's from Jerry Bruckheimer, who did the Pirates movies, so it's going to have, I'm sure, a similar sort of a feel to it. Star Trek II, of course, we saw, and a really nice animation from Disney called Epic.
Oh.
So
this is a real opportunity. They've got a captive audience. They're very excited. They're paying attention. They're there early. Those when you go to a blockbuster like The Hobbit, you're seeing the trailers that they're most excited about for 2013. I think.
Exactly. Yeah. And they all looked good.
You got a question from a
I
reader?
do.
All right.
As a matter of fact, there was let's see, Alita and Chris Copping in Portland, Oregon, asked about an AV receiver that will pass HDMI through it when it's turned off or when it's in standby mode. Because, when you're watching a movie, you want to have your receiver on. You want to have your 5.1 speakers, everything, cranking along. But if you're watching CNN, you don't necessarily want to turn on the AV receiver. But you've got the HDMI coming from your cable box or satellite box coming in through your receiver, and then the HDMI coming out of your receiver to the TV. Will it pass HDMI signals when it's in standby mode or turned off? So you don't have to turn it.
Will will not pass. Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
Well, you couldn't resist, and perfectly so. The answer is yes, there are some, not all. And you have to be a little careful because the manufacturers typically won't include that in their specs.
Now, this is the TV's job, right?
No, it's the AV receiver's
It's the
job.
receiver's job. Okay.
The receiver's job to pass HDMI signals from the source device, like a cable box or satellite box, through it and onto the TV. Both the audio and video, because when you're watching CNN or something casual, maybe you're just going to use the speakers in the TV. At least this is what this person wants, and I've heard this question many times.
Okay. I don't understand this at all. So he doesn't want the audio to be played from the AV receiver. He wants the TV to get the audio as well as the video.
Again, only for casual viewing, like turning on the news. And he doesn't want to fire up the AV receiver and
All right.
listen to all the speakers.
So it just passes through. The receiver's not even on. It just
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
But in many cases, when the receiver isn't on, the signal doesn't pass through it.
Right.
And so you won't see anything and you won't hear anything on the TV.
Is there a name they call this? HDMI pass-through or something?
Pass-through. Yeah,
Pass-through.
exactly.
All right.
That's what it's called.
So that's what you're looking for.
That is what you're looking for. Now, a lot of Yamaha receivers will do this.
Okay.
The RXV 565, 465, 765, a bunch of Yamaha receivers will do this. The Onkyo 607 will do it, and presumably those beyond it. I think you have the 608 or 609.
616.
616. Oh, okay. Well, it may very well do it. You may have to go into a menu and in the HDMI functions say something like, enable HDMI pass-through or whatever.
This is where it's so crazy and complicated because, it's just weird. I mean, you spend a lot of time trying to get this AV system working, to be honest with you. Yeah. I have, for instance, my TV has a special HDMI port that does something.
Probably ARC.
Yeah, ARC. What is that?
ARC stands for Audio Return Channel.
That's not this.
That's not what we're talking about
here. This is the opposite.
Yes, exactly. It's when you don't want to fire up your receiver and your whole surround system just to watch the news.
But that's not ARC. ARC is what?
ARC, Audio Return Channel, is when the TV itself is the source of the audio. So, for example...
So my TV is a smart TV, and I have Netflix on it. So if I'm watching Netflix that comes from the TV, I don't want to hear the tinny speakers on the TV. I want the video can stay with the TV, but I want the audio to go to the AV receiver.
Correct. And you could, normally, in the past, what you would do is you would take the TV's optical audio output, an optical digital audio output, and connect it to an input on the receiver.
Right.
But ARC eliminates that need. It actually sends the TV's audio back through the HDMI cable, going in the opposite direction from the signal that's coming from the receiver to the TV, and sends it to the receiver and allows you to hear it on your surround system.
I swear this all is a job of 100% employment act for home theater configurators and setup
for home theater geeks.
Because there's just no, so for instance, I don't know, and I don't know how I did it, and I can't go back. I set it up somehow that whenever the receiver comes on, it comes on at 50% volume, and that's too low. I want it to be 70%, and I cannot for the life of me figure out where I did that because it's not in any of the settings. And then I also have it set up that I wanted it to be set up, and somehow I did set it up that when you turn off the TV, the receiver reverts to a different mode so that we'll get the Sonos audio, so that when I listen to my Sonos, it's too complicated. And not only did I figured it out, and I can't figure it out again.
You can't remember how you did it.
3 weeks later. It's crazy. And even if you get a home theater installer, they'll set this up, and then you won't know what to do.
Well, it depends on how they set it up, and particularly what kind of control system they set up.
Now, have you seen the new Logitech remote? They have a new Harmony remote.
They do, and I haven't seen it yet.
It's a touch remote. We just reviewed it on our Before You Buy show. And I was curious.
What'd you think?
Well, I didn't get to review it. I have a Harmony 1, which is their previous kind of top of the line.
Use.
Yeah. This one looks a little bit better. It's got a touch screen, but it doesn't do, which is interesting, one of the things Harmony's famous for, it's a all-in-one remote, is activities, pre-programmed activities. You press a button and it turns on Oprah, and it knows for Oprah you need to turn on the satellite dish, you need to turn on the AV receiver, you need to go to channel 3 on the satellite box, you need to, and blah, 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 blah. Right. All of which is too complicated for any human to figure out, but these macros are pre-programmed and then it all works. They seem to have, activities, I guess they call it, seem like they've kind of deprecated that a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, if that's the case, then I'm super bummed, because that's one of the great things about the Harmony remotes.
I think they're realizing that it's too complicated.
Well, except that the activities make it less so when you program the Harmony remote.
Once you get it working.
True. I mean, but all you have to do is go online and say, this device controls my volume.
Yeah.
This device controls my channels.
That's what I thought.
That's all you have to do. And then it automatically configures the remote for you, so that when you push the button that says watch TV, it configures the AVR, configures the TV, and sets everything up for you. And then you push the button that says watch Blu-ray or watch DVD or something.
Yeah.
And it configures it up for you that way. So I've always thought the Harmony was the best remote for people who were DIYers, who wanted to program it themselves. Now, most home theater installers prefer remotes from Universal Remote Control or RTI, which are more complicated to program, and I wouldn't recommend end users do it, but they are more flexible.
Right.
But once you have it all programmed up, it should work pretty well. I agree with you 100%. This whole home theater thing with receivers and TVs and HDMI, ARC, and pass-through, it's all pretty complicated, which is why, I still have the opportunity to work for a living.
It looks like the new Harmony Touch does have activities. I guess why I thought it was deprecated is because the front page of the Touch is channels and channels only, and that's to me where you want activities. But
I would agree.
They do have. Anyway, we're out of time. Thank you, Scott Wilkinson.
My pleasure.
HomeTheaterHiFi.com. We'll see you next week.
You bet.
Yeah, it has activities, but I think they've moved it to a lesser page.
Oh, yeah, that's no good.
The nice thing is,
activities have to be on the front.
You can upgrade your Harmony One for keep your setup. I guess because it's all online.
Bad weather,
it
sick
takes
days,
the setup that you did for your Harmony One.
Oh, and then just import it down into this new one.
Yeah, which is nice.
That's really nice.
Yeah, and I like it. It's in an upright. It more looks like a phone now. It's in an upright charger, which is nice. Instead of sitting and lying
except when the
cradle.
phone rings and you grab it and go hello.
It looks just like a phone. It's just like a phone. Hi, Steve. So now we'll have 3 Steves in studio.
3 Steves in studio.
3 Steves and the fountain. Go ahead. You take it away. These so go ahead and enjoy.
Thank you. Let me give Leo a break here and talk to the chat room. JPL4 says RTI the only way to go. Well, there are many people who feel that way. It's more complicated to program. So Tons 1999 says Gandalf's staff in a dialogue scene should look exactly the same. Maybe in a movie like Spider-Man, the CGI Spider-Man will be more noticeable in HFR since he's moving really fast. Well, certainly things that are moving fast will look much sharper, and you'll be able to see a lot more detail. This is what I was looking forward to last night. Oh, my God. Hey, Titus, how you doing? Sarah Jane UK asks, how long before they combine it with a phone so that it stops everything when the phone rings? That's actually a really good question. There are some advanced control systems from, I don't know if Control 4 does this, but I'm sure Crestron and AMX do, where if the phone rings, it'll mute the audio system. So Mark Boston is asking, so would I say 48 frames per second is what caused the crash, or was it a bad projector? I don't know, but I'm surmising that it was 48 frames per second. Although, again, the projector was working fine, so I was told, in earlier screenings. That same theater with those same 2 projectors, actually, in this ETX theater, there are 2 projectors, Christie's. And but still, my guess is that it was 48 frames. It had to be. Well, it didn't have to be, but that makes the most sense because it's a new technology, and so there are undoubtedly going to be bugs that need to be worked out, and maybe those bugs manifested themselves after the first couple of showings of the movie there. Hey, the Sioux, how you doing? Yeah, Jabba 678. I was pretty bummed. Euchre, do the higher-end Harmony remotes have a save this setup or a way to record the series of actions automatically? Yeah, they do. They record they record them in a sense. I mean, you don't get to see a list, but when you say this device controls volume, this device controls channels, and so on for each activity. So there'd be answers to those questions for watching TV, watching a Blu-ray, listening to music, whatever. It then downloads the appropriate codes to the remote that causes all the devices to configure themselves to the way they're supposed to be for that. Murray on Travel, what do you think of the new commercial spot loudness regulations? I don't know them specifically by that name, but I do know that there was the Calm Act in Congress that attempts to deal with the problem of commercials being louder than the program. And from my experiments, that it's not actually true that the commercials are noticeably louder than the program's material, but that the commercials stay at the maximum for more percentage of the time. The dynamic range of the real program material varies much greater, is much greater than it is for the commercials. The commercials are all very compressed so that they're all at the maximum loudness all the time. So they appear, or we perceive them to be louder. But I'm all for keeping the commercials not that way. Epic is not being made by Disney. It's Blue Sky Studios. Oh, sorry about that. I misremembered. Thank you for correcting me there. Who was that? FMD12. Let's see. Why not just build Burnout, Truckee? I don't know what you mean by that. When is the rescreening, iLover? I can, I got a free pass. I can go whenever, but I'm going to have to, reserve my seat like everybody else, and hopefully I'll get a good one. Master Rawl, what is that? Where did I get the LED clock in the background? Actually, my wife or my mother, one of them, gave it to me for a gift. I like clocks, and especially weird digital clocks like that, so they know what to get me for Christmas. Mark Boston has a Harmony and didn't know half of this stuff. I'm a little surprised, but because they try to educate users very well on their website, but even the Harmony is not, totally simplistic. Nistire, wouldn't the peak RMS be higher, though? I have to think about that in terms of the math of RMS. I don't think so, but I'm not 100% certain. I'll have to think about that. Commercials are done in PCM, which is always louder than a 5.1 DD movie in broadcast. Beatmaster, are you sure about that? And PCM isn't necessarily louder than Dolby Digital. I mean, volume is independent of the codec that is used to digitize the audio, so I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Metro scenes, would 48 frames down converted to 24 still give you the classic film look since it's divided by 2? And the answer is I think so. That's one reason to use 48. Because if you simply take out every other frame, you'll be back to the same frames that you would have recorded if you had shot it at 24 to begin with. So yes. Lawn Dog, what are the marketing terms used for pass-through feature on surround receivers? I think it's HDMI pass-through is the primary one. Different companies may have different names for it, and I would have to look up what those are. I don't have them off the top of my head, but more or less it's just called HDMI pass-through, or sometimes standby pass-through, because that's really what you want. You want the HDMI signal to pass through the receiver when it's in standby mode. Truckee, could projectors' bulbs have just burnt out? No, not in. If you're asking about my experience last night, the answer is no, because
Channel 7.
If that had happened, we wouldn't have seen 3D, and we did. We were seeing 3D. If one of the projectors wasn't displaying, we wouldn't have seen it. No, it was
Sounds like it was a
some
source error then.
It was a source error, exactly.
Yeah.
It was these weird red bands on the screen, horizontal bands that sort of flashed on and flashed off.
This theater had two projectors or a single projector?
Yeah,
it had
two projectors.
Huh.
Two projectors, which is a characteristic of AMC ETX theaters.
That was the ETX.
Correct.
Huh.
And it had Dolby Atmos, and boy, oh boy, was I looking forward to that. I could have stuck around and gone to IMAX at midnight.
That's so frustrating.
And I just decided, I'm not going to stay up till 3 a.m. All
right, we're going to go. Thank you, Scott.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks so much. See you next week.
Bye-bye. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet, cell phones and home theater in a little bit. 33 and a third after the hour. Johnny Jett talks about using the internet to get great deals on travel this holiday season. And how to use Twitter to get good travel. I don't know. We'll find out. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you have a question. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere. And I am absolutely up for talking about holiday gifts and so forth. This Harmony remote, this touch is great. I mean, I want to make that clear. I really like this remote. I have a Harmony one. I think it's a step up. And it would be a good gift for a geek if you have some money, because it's $250. $250. But, I think a good universal remote isn't going to be cheap. That's the Logitech Touch, which is probably the remote of choice if you're not a home theater installer. Natalie from Los Angeles is our next call. Hi, Natalie. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Love the show.
Thank you.
First time caller, long time listener.
Great.
I recently bought a Toshiba Excite tablet, and chose that one because it has an HDMI output. It allows for full USB drive, and also has an SD capability for expandable memory.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of what went into me choosing that tablet. But now that I brought it home after a week, I'm finding that browsing on the internet is really, really slow. I tried different browsers, Mozilla and Google Chrome, and nothing's working. It's just really, really slow.
Are you doing it on Wi-Fi with the tablet?
Yeah, I am, and I've tried it at different locations to see if it was the Wi-Fi connection, and that didn't seem to make too much of a difference.
It's not the I mean, it's funny because how fast this changes. It's a Tegra 3 processor in there, which for a while was the king of the hill, but is no longer. It may not be the fastest tablet out there. And so it is possible that you're not getting the browsing speed you're used to. I take it you're used to doing it on a computer.
Yeah, I'm used to surfing on the computer, and also using an iPhone, and my iPhone is actually a lot faster than a tablet.
I think you'd be happier with the iPad.
Yeah. I guess a few reasons why we didn't go with the iPad was because of there's no HDMI out.
Yeah, but what are you going to do with the HDMI out?
We're gonna hook it to a larger television screen.
So with the iPad, if you had an Apple TV, you AirPlay out of the iPad. You don't even need HDMI out; it just does it wirelessly. You do need an Apple TV. So
okay.
Apple does get you. I mean, in the long run, And the reason I thought of the iPad is because you already have an iPhone, which means you're kind of used to that operating system. The new iPad is extraordinarily fast, much faster than a Tegra 3 based tablet.
Yeah, well, I guess also we wanted to try out an Android system because my partner has an Android phone. She has the Galaxy Samsung,
Yeah,
and she really liked it.
You know, I'm a total fan of Android. So,
Yeah.
but I use both, and I, you know, how much was the Excite?
Oh, how much was it? It was like $3.
So it was less. It was less than an iPad. And how about?
Yeah.
Did you get the 7-inch or the 10-inch? Did you get the big one or the little one?
10-inch.
Okay. So are you set on a 10-inch? Is that what you want, or would you be content with a smaller one?
A smaller one would probably be okay. We were thinking more that we needed something that would also allow for like Microsoft Office to be.
Well, Office is not available on either Android or iPhone, although it will be. We're pretty sure. Microsoft keeps letting slip information about this. I'm sure intentionally, so that people will remember that it's coming. Probably not till March, but absolutely in the next 6 months we'll see Office for both iPad and Android, I think.
Is there another Android tablet that you would recommend?
Oh yeah, there's some I really really like, but they're not as cheap. There's one that is as cheap that I love, which is the Nexus 7. And I think they have a Nexus 10 now. Let me just quickly check. I believe they do, and that's from Google directly. One advantage of that is you're going to get a more recent version of Android. You have Jelly Bean 4.1 on your Excite. Jelly Bean 4.2 is out, and the Nexus has because it's from Google, has the latest. So a Nexus 10, which starts at $399, is probably, in my mind, would be a better choice than that Toshiba Excite. Now it's Wi-Fi only. Oh, they're sold out. You know, they're having a really hard time keeping these in stock. Let's see if the 32 gig is sold out. Yeah, it is. These are so great, and they're so affordable that they're having a hard time keeping them in stock. I think the 7 is still available. Let's see, what's another good choice for an Android? I'm an Android fan. I just wanted to know that. Now, people are pointing out, as they should, if Office is something you want, you might want to look at a Microsoft Surface tablet. I don't think they're particularly good.
Yeah, we did look at them in the store, and I don't know, we weren't.
It has some of the things you want, like HDMI out, and it has an SD card slot, and it has USB. It's more expensive. You're going to be spending $629 for it with a keyboard. And it does have full Office, which is kind of neat.
Okay.
So a Surface might be something to look at. Let's see, another Android tablet. I think the Acers and the Asuses are very good. I would say probably an Asus Android tablet would probably be my first choice. The Transformer. It's fast. It's faster, I believe, than the Excite. The Excite is a little bit old. One of the nice things about the Transformer is you can get a keyboard with it. So that's kind of you can get a little docking. Okay. They offer little docking keyboards, which is pretty cool. So in general, the category from Asus is EEE-Pad, the E-Pad. And you can choose based on price which E-Pad you want. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Enjoy your toy.
I will.
Really? I'm actually surprised, Natalie, that you didn't go with the iPad, because it sounds like. But I see your partner wants to say, well, let's broaden our horizons. Let's try an Android. I love my Android tablets. I really do. But I think I often come back to the iPad in the long run, especially if speed is the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Natalie.
you so much.
All righty. See you later. 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. You know, the Nexus 7 is also a Tegra 3, isn't it? It is. In fact, the older Asus is a Tegra 2. So I'm not sure why she was experiencing a slow speed. Asus, by the way, makes the Nexus tablets for Google, which is one of the reasons why you might want to look at this. I'm not sure why she was getting speed issues. Should be fast enough. The Transformer Prime, which is the current Asus tablet, is also a Tegra 3, but it is quad-core. God, I don't know if this would, it's only 4.0. The Excite wasn't a bad choice. I'm surprised it's not very fast. I do have to say that there's no faster tablet right now than the 4th generation iPad, which is the one Apple's selling. They're top of the line. Gary in Santa Barbara, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Leo. Appreciate you taking my call.
Ooh, I will, but I have to take a break. That magic music says time has come for a commercial. But hang on, you'll be right after the commercial. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So what's the most? The Prime is the most current? Where's the Slate? Oh, the Slate is Windows. Never mind. So confusing. Hey, let's face it. We're all trying to save money. You have to feel bad for people who are trying to figure out what tablet to buy. So the Transformer Infinity, is that the most? $14.95 a month. Ooh, that's pretty. I like this one. I played with this one. I like it. That's a Tegra 3 also, though. I think her speed issue. All right, Steve. See you. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. All right, take care.
That's who I use, and at $14.95 a month, that's who you ought to use. And by the way, they don't upsell you. There's no setup fee. The modem's free. The spam protection's free 24/7 support.
Known I/O issues. Oh, that's interesting.
Unlimited storage and free online document, spreadsheet, presentation software. For a limited time, high-speed internet, $14.95 a month from my internet service provider, DSL.
Well, who knows? Who knows? Yeah, she can. Well, Apple sells an HDMI adapter. I think using HDMI with a tablet is kind of silly because you don't want a cable coming off the tablet.
I'd love to tell you about Perfection Photos.
Spend $100, get the Apple TV.
I like and respect with Epson exclusive Matrix CCD technology. These scanners deliver superior scan quality for amazing clarity and detail. Ideal for the home.
Oh, Amazon has Nexus 10s. All right.
Scanning photos from film to negatives with their built-in transparency unit. These photo scanners ensure precision film scanning.
That's interesting.
And high-resolution scanning. You can even
I don't recommend the Kindle Fire except for a kind of a specialized.
From damaged photos with Epson's restoration software. There's no need for the slow warm-up time with Epson's exclusive fast ready scan technology.
I see Nexus 7s. I don't see any Nexus 10s.
Epson photo scanners also come equipped with powerful, easy-to-use software to edit photos, automatically scan.
3 left in stock. They're going fast.
Or Microsoft SharePoint, or even scan oversized media like maps and artwork. Visit Epson.com to learn more. Epson, built to perform. And
that would be an oops, wrong camera. That would be an amazing. But that's expensive.
Enter in the promo code Leo to get 10% off your purchase.
Oh, 9. It says 9. Yeah, Tony has an Nexus 4 right now. He's reviewing it. I'll be honest. I think one of the chief advantages of Android phones is the removable battery. I don't buy an Android phone that doesn't have a removable battery. Play2.tv, huh? Whatever could it be? Oh. Oh. Do you have to pay for this? It's probably illegal, isn't it? Well, that's neat. I have a DLNA TV. I'll install it. Let me install it right now. Uh-oh. Oh, this is interesting. So you can do to an Apple TV, Roku, Google TV, or DLNA. Sounds like you have to get the do you have to get the $5 version first? Let me read the reviews. It's kind of interesting. Put YouTube on the Roku. Wait a minute, there's a YouTube channel on the Roku, isn't there? Good. Is it an Apple GTX 70? What did you do to get the, is it a generic GTX 70?
Google, how much does the Earth weigh?
Hey, Leo, you got that non-32 live raid stuff?
Oh, yeah. Forgot. Thank you.
Ask me anything you like. I'll reveal everything. I will treasure the truth. tell you what I know. To say what's real, to let you know what I have learned and how I had to sleep.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. It is amazing, isn't it? I think one of the most important developments, we were talking about how smartphones have changed everything since the advent of the iPhone. But the biggest change to me in the smartphone world is things like Siri. Google has a very similar technology where you talk to the phone and can ask it things. And now Google has added, and it's one of the reasons if you get an Android device to absolutely hold out for one that's got Jelly Bean, or will have Jelly Bean soon. Because since Jelly Bean, which is the Android 4.1, Google's added this new feature called Google Now that is really cool. Google Now will scare some people, creep some people out. So if you're worried about privacy, or rather, if you're worried about what Google knows about you, maybe it's not the right thing. I don't personally think Google cares about me, and I don't worry about what they know about me. But what Google Now does is it tells you stuff that you care about based on how you've used your phone and Google in the past. So people say, oh, it must be watching us. It knows previous searches, but it also knows, for instance, I'm looking at my Google now, that I care about the 49ers because I've searched in the past, or perhaps I've even told it. So it gives me a card that says what's going on with the next 49ers game, where it'll be, when, and if the game's going on, the score. It gives me local weather. But it shows nearby events. But it even does more than that. If it knows what time it is. So, for instance, it saw that I have an appointment to do a radio show every Saturday morning. And it says, it'll actually say, you got 15 minutes to leave, traffic's okay, you're going to make it if you leave now, that kind of thing. It's pretty amazing. And it's getting smarter and smarter and smarter. They're adding some interesting new features. So there's weather, there's traffic, there's public transit. Flights. If you're scheduled for a flight, it notices that you've got a flight coming up. It'll automatically just let you know. Oh, your flight's on time. You don't even have to ask the airline anymore. The Google knows. If you're in a foreign land, it will tell you what the currency conversion is automatically. It'll show you what time it is back home. And they're adding more features. So this is one of those things where I think it creeps people out sometimes. Because what you mean, Google's paying attention, all that stuff, but it's all machines. The machines. They can't hurt you. They're just machines. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, now back to Gary in Santa Barbara. Hi, Gary. Sorry to have to put you on hold there. Thanks for your patience.
No problem. I appreciate you taking the call, Leo.
Sure.
My question is, I'm trying to put Apple TV in our family room, and my router is on the other side of the house, my wireless router, and so I've got a weak wireless signal down there, and I don't really have a place in between to put a repeater. I do have an Ethernet port in the family room, so I was considering creating an access point down in the living room, in the family room. But going to...
Can't you plug is the Ethernet port also near the wireless access spot, or no?
Yes.
So just plug in an Ethernet, plug that wireless access spot into the Ethernet port, the other end of the Ethernet port into your Apple TV.
Yeah, or the wireless access would...
Oh, it doesn't reach... Are you saying it doesn't reach to the Apple TV?
Well, I think if I put an access point in down there, it'd create a wireless signal, and then the Apple TV will pick that up. Right.
So get So what you should do is get an Airport Express and plug it into the Ethernet port.
Okay, and will that?
And then that'll rebroadcast. That's closer to the Apple TV, the TV, right? So it'll be close enough, probably, to give you a stronger signal. The other thing you could do, there are solutions like power line networking that actually work better than they. For a long time, I kind of abjured power line networking because it just was a bad idea. But now it's gotten pretty good. So if you've got a power line, which I'm sure you do, next to the wireless access point and next to the TV, you plug a power line network device into each end, and it uses the power lines in your wall to transport the data. And it works pretty well. Certainly well enough, I think, to get the relevant data to the Apple TV. A lot of people use power line networking as a solution. Since you already have Ethernet in the wall, you might be able to just do that. I think you probably will. Think of it as a very long Ethernet cable, because, in fact, that's what it is. So whatever layout you want to use that would work with a very long Ethernet cable, like a wireless access point, plugged, and, of course, they all have Ethernet ports in the back, hardwired ports. Plug that into the wall by the access point, and then there's an Ethernet port downstairs. Get an Apple Airport Extreme, plug it into that, use that as the extender, you'd be fine. One trick, however, that's important is that second device should be set to bridging mode. You don't want it to be assigning IP addresses. One device on the network should be assigning IP addresses. So put the access point downstairs, the one close to the TV, put that into bridging mode. You can even buy an inexpensive bridge. It'll do the job. Chris in La Crescenta, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, Chris.
How are you?
Great. How are you? What can I do for you?
So I have a question about Ubuntu.
All right.
The operating system for Linux.
Let's talk Linux, baby.
Okay. So my computer has a AMD 64-bit computer.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tried to install Ubuntu from a live USB, it came up with a glitchy screen, and it also was getting stuck at their logo.
Were you able to run it without installing it? Were you able to run it just booting to the USB key?
I was able to run it, but then it gets stuck at the logo screen.
It still gets stuck. So you're not saying installing it, just you can't run it.
I can't run it.
Yeah, that's probably a video issue. It's not the AMD.
Yeah.
It's an incompatible video driver.
Yeah. But I did do some research, and it seems that if you do no mode set, I tried that, and it worked for one. But every time I keep trying to boot from it, I have to do that same thing. Is there an easier way to do this?
Well, one thing I'd try is a 32-bit version of Ubuntu.
Okay.
I bet you that would work.
Okay.
Make sure you have a good ISO. And the other thing is boot into text mode and get the proper drivers. But it may, the easiest thing to do, Linux is a wonderful free operating system. Ubuntu is a great version of it, ubuntu.com. You can go there, you can get it for free. And the only issues that come up, and frankly, they don't come up much anymore. I'm surprised actually to hear that you're having this problem. It was very common in the old days because enthusiasts have to write all the hardware drivers. So, but most drivers exist. So I would just try better. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm sorry, I didn't do the ad. I think it's 3264. I think I would use 32-bit. It's an ATI issue. Hey, Kyle, I'm getting echo, by the way.
And it was just that call today or all day, Leo?
Well, on the last, since the top of the hour.
Okay. It's tough for me. I mean, I could hit this button on the dock, but they keep telling me not to hit it.
Okay, don't hit it.
When I see that.
So I'll send an email to Julie Talbot.
And you want me to send an email to engineering right now? Like, it was on both. It was on those two calls or just the one?
No, it's been on all the calls since the top of the hour. It probably was on the first hour and it just didn't notice it.
Okay, cool. I just kind of want to know since I can't really hear it on my end unless.
Are you not allowed to do anything to fix that?
The only thing that they said is if it comes through with echo, like if I'm watching the chat room and I see that everyone's kind of letting us know that it's echo, then they said I could reset the call. But aside from that, they don't want me messing with the duck. So reset it, but as in like put them on hold real quick and then pop them back on. But I feel like with you not knowing that or the caller not knowing that, they might think they just got hung up on when it makes that sound. But that's what they said, recalibrate the call.
What should I do about this? So we're still getting echo on the calls. The idiots at engineering at Premiere have not fixed it. Julie, I'm going to send a note to Julie saying, I'm copying you. It's very frustrating. Yeah, talk to Julie, would you? Thank you. It's very frustrating. The issue is it screws up our podcast because it's on the podcast, right? I make more. Do I not make more money on the podcast than on the radio show at this point? Yeah. Well, they're screwing up the thing that makes money. Yeah, Ron, it's gone on for 3 years. And they, by the way, for the longest time, they blamed us, and they go, oh, no, it's us. And I was on a conference call with the chief engineer and the CEO of the company, and she said, we will fix this. And I said, okay, great. That was a month ago. We actually have an entry. Kyle, you could tell them this. We actually have an entry on the wiki explaining to people listening to the show, don't bother to ask for a fix because it's the way it is. There's actually an entry in the wiki saying, yeah, the echo in the calls, we know about it. It's been going on for no more than 3 years since we started using Premiere.
It's amazing. They're just effing themselves because if you look at, like, if you Google Premiere Radio Networks and you look at their local search, they have a review up there, one review, and it talks about how they can't fix their equipment. So just post a billboard on the front of Premiere's building, you know?
Unbelievable.
They're screwing themselves.
Well, you know what? I think they're going down. I think seriously, they're financially, they're falling apart is what's happening.
Yeah, it's sad. It's radio.
It's radio. It's dying like every other form of radio.
Yeah.
It's what cracks me up is when I get calls from people in radio saying, you got a job?
Yeah.
Like big shots. Bill in Portsmouth, Virginia. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for all your help.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling.
I've heard you say many times that you're using your Galaxy Note more for an internet than you are a phone. And let me tell you what I have. I have an old Nokia 6265. It's an old phone, but it does what I want. I have a Sennheiser SX100 one-cord headphone that I wear all the time.
Uh-huh.
It's real light. I can take it off my ear, or if I get a call, I can put it on my ear. And it has a voice recorder that I can say people's names, that it works like a ringer tone, that I hear my voice saying who it is, so I don't have to pull the phone out of my pocket to see who it is.
Right.
And then I just push the button on the cord
and pick up.
To answer the call.
Yeah.
Yeah, and same thing about dialing a call. I can just push that button.
Yeah.
Say the person's name and it dials.
Yeah, that's pretty standard for a wired headset. Yeah.
Right, and it has a built-in FM radio that you use through the cord.
Wow.
Great sound.
Oh, that's in the phone. Yeah. And you need the cord because the cord is the antenna. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But like everybody else, I want to have the internet in my pocket to, so I don't have to go home and Google it to tell them I'm right.
Right.
So if I get on FM with a data plan, I'm going to probably pay for the data using an FM. And
not the radio, because there's a radio in that. That's a real radio. That doesn't use any data. If you're listening to Pandora or Spotify or Mog or one of the streaming services, that's data. But the radio itself, unless you're using tune-in internet radio, but if you're using a FM radio, that won't use any data.
But I'm talking about if I got like a Galaxy Note, I don't think it has a built-in FM radio.
You know, there are phones that do. I don't think the Note does, but there are phones that do.
Right. So I was looking at possibility. I'll keep this phone because, like I say, it does things that I think I'm not going to get out of a smartphone.
Right.
But what about a Wi-Fi? Because most, like the Nexus 7 is Wi-Fi only. I can't do like an iPad that has a cellular.
Well, okay, you're asking me different questions. Of course, the Galaxy Note has 3G and 4G, and would be cheaper to use than a MiFi, which is a 4G wireless access point. If you want to use a device like the Nexus 7 that is a Wi-Fi only, that doesn't have 3G, yeah, MiFi is a great choice, but it's built in exactly the same way as the 3G on your phone. You know, you pay and you have limited, MiFi. Most MiFis, actually Virgin might have one that's unlimited bandwidth on 3G, but most of them are not. Hey, thanks for the call. Oh, I almost forgot. You're probably tuning in saying, where's that Johnny Jet? Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, calling us from you're always it's like, where in the world is Johnny Jet? Where are you today?
Toronto, Canada.
Love Toronto. It must be like 5 degrees there.
You know what? It's not too bad. I think it's around 35, 40.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And your hotel room has a Christmas tree? What kind of hotels you stay in?
Yeah, man, I stay in some nice ones, right?
Oh, that's very fancy.
No, this is my wife's apartment.
Ah, how nice. How nice. Well, Johnny is at TravelWiz, JohnnyJet.com, and he's going to be our newest regular on the show because he's an expert on getting great travel deals online. And the last time you were on, we ran out of time. I was having so much fun that we
ran right through it.
And we're going to do it again. So give me some, but that's all right. You'll be back. So give me some travel tips. How can I'm going over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house I go.
How much time do I have? 5 minutes or 10 minutes?
You got about 5 minutes.
All right. So
you do the 5-minute version.
All right. When I was here 2 weeks ago, we talked about you need to be flexible. And that is the key for saving money online or even not online. But to find the best way to get a travel deal is you have to be flexible.
Flexible in terms of dates, right?
In terms of dates and even destinations sometimes. If you're going where everyone wants to go, there's not going to be a deal. And if you're flying the times everyone wants to fly, like the Friday and Saturday before Christmas next week, you're not going to find a deal, so you can stop looking.
So what you're saying is that sometimes travel is just going to be serendipitous. It's like, well, let's see what I can get cheap, and I'll go there.
True, and also, but I mean, if you know where you want to go, you just got to be flexible. Just take time off, a couple days before.
Right.
So you got to be wise with your days off.
I've also noticed that in some searches, like some of the travel search places you list on your site, JohnnyJet.com, let you be flexible about the airport. Because I can go from Oakland, San Francisco, or San Jose airports in the Bay Area, for instance.
And that is key. Pretty much anywhere you go in the world, there's alternate airports. And again, I was just in Florida last week, and instead of flying to Miami, I priced out Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach. And you should do that for every city you're going to. If you're going to Chicago, don't look just at O'Hare, look at Midway. If you're going to New York, there's 4 airports there, at least. So always look at the alternate airports. And that's actually why I created a website. I put in my notes, which I'll tweet out, alternateairports.com. It gives you the real-time driving directions for every U.S. airport.
What a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, I created it because it was really helpful to me.
It's very simple. It's just got, here's all the cities, and here's alternate airports, and you click the airport, and you can go get alternate directions. How clever.
So it's key to be flexible with, your times, your dates, and your airports. But also what I didn't get to talk about last week is, we did talk about you need to search every different website. That's why we have this search tool on our site with Expedia, TripAdvisor. Right. But you got to look at them all. You got to look at the airlines. Also sign up for every airline's website newsletter, also their Twitter handle, their Facebook, because a lot of times these guys have deals only for their followers on Twitter.
That's an interesting one. Is there somewhere there'd be a directory of all the airline Twitter handles?
Actually, I have one on my Twitter account. So if you go to my Twitter account and you hit lists, you can. I have a Johnny Jet airline list, and it lists them all.
I'm gonna
same with
follow that.
same with hotels.
So it's twitter.com/JohnnyJet.
Yep, I'm Johnny Jet. JohnnyJet.
People always ask me, why should I be on Twitter? And this is a perfect example of why you should be on Twitter. Not only should you follow Johnny. Oh, I'm not logged in. That's why. You should follow Johnny Jet, but you should also use these lists as Johnny is. Because, I'm not going to look at what other lists you have. I bet you have a bunch of lists on here.
Well, I have cruise line, I have hotels. But, the deal is you want to sign up to these newsletters. We also have a newsletter where if there's a mistake fare or some kind of crazy fare, like, last week or 2 weeks ago, we had L.A. to Brazil for $236 round trip.
Wow.
That's round trip. That's like $1 fare. And we'll send that out. We'll also tweet it out. But we don't just do it. There's other companies as well.
That is
sometimes there are.
That's a computer error, basically.
And my favorites are airfarewatchdog.com to follow them.
Okay.
And also, what's important about these guys is they have fare alerts. So you want to set up to Airfare Watchdogs, kayaks, yaptas, fare compare. So if you know a certain route that you want to go in a day, you put your cities in, your dates, and what you want to pay, and you'll get alerted when that price drops to that.
You've got some. You've got some great.
That's key.
Great lists. This is fantastic. I'm following. You've got tourism boards, travel, PR, hotels. Johnny's list, is that just people you follow, or?
Yeah, that's just mine.
Yeah, but airlines here is all the airlines. 94 airlines that have Twitter handles. So all you do is you log into your Twitter account, go to Johnny Jet, and then click his lists. Go to the lists, and then click the button that says subscribe, and now that'll be added to my Twitter feed. So I won't miss it when Royal Dutch Airlines says, "Hey, I got a great deal. You want to go to You want to go to Holland?" JohnnyJet.com. Hey, come back next week. We'll talk some more, okay? And safe travels, Johnny. Enjoy your holiday.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Take care. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. As always, never enough time for Johnny. I'm so sorry I forgot, but it's just a habit thing. It's new to me.
No problem.
But I will remember from now on. So, but we're still on the podcast and we're still on the internet. So, a large audience, several 100,000, still watching. So, anything else you want to say, you can say.
Well, I talked about last week also speaking to a human. Call the airline up, especially if you're booking airline using your miles. Because a lot of times you can't book using your miles online, or if you can, if you get a good agent, they'll show you some tricks.
Humans are, it's so funny because I thought travel agents were gone. We did talk about this last week.
We did talk about it a couple weeks ago.
And they're not. But you got to find. How do you find a good one?
I have a good one in Orange County.
I bet you have an excellent one.
It took time.
Yeah.
It takes time, but you ask around, you ask your friends around, see who they recommend. And I'll be happy to give mine as well.
Are corporate travel agents better than like small, storefront travel agents? Like,
I'm not a fan of corporate travel agents because, these guys they can get deals for in your corporation sometimes, but a lot of times the prices they're finding. But they do have perks, and that's what I like about these travel agents because they can get you upgraded or they can get you, an upgrade to a room or a cruise.
Right. Well, you got a great site. I'm glad we can get you on a regular basis. Everybody should go to JohnnyJet.com. 10 ways to find cheap holiday flights. In fact, I'll plug this when we come back. There's a full article there.
Yeah, and those are my notes for
the show.
The show
that we still haven't gotten through all of them. Probably. That's great.
We got through most of them. We didn't get through the hidden cities, but we'll do it next time.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. Gosh, I thought there's nothing worse than getting sick on the road. That's horrible.
I was in Panama last week and literally at 103.1, and I thought I was going to die. And I'm sorry I couldn't call in.
No, that's fine. So you're going to be going to Toronto a lot, I guess now, huh?
I'm here all the time.
Yeah.
When
you get Natalie back down to Orange County?
I live in L.A. County.
Or L.A. County.
But, hopefully soon.
Toronto's
it's tough.
City.
It's tough when you marry a foreigner because our laws don't make it that easy.
No, they don't. I know. But I love Canadians. I think you're smart to marry a Canadian. The best people.
That's for sure.
All right, John. Take care.
All right, Leo.
We'll talk at the same time next week. You want to do that on a regular basis?
Yeah. Yeah,
and as I said, I'm flexible. If you have to miss a week, no big deal. If you want to move it to a different time, no big deal as well.
Excellent.
Or day.
I'm around next week.
Good. 12:30 next week.
I'll be somewhere else. All right.
I know that's going to be part of the fun part of the show is you're going to be somewhere every time, somewhere different every time.
I'll let you guess where I am.
Okay, good. That'll be fun. Don't tell me. Good. Don't tell me. Good.
All right.
I love it.
All right,
Johnny. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I love him. It's fun to reconnect with him. In fact, we met in Canada, I think, because he came on the Call for Help in Canada. So that's actually, come to think of it, I think that's where we met. We are overloaded on guests on Saturdays. We've got 3, and we've only got 1 on Sundays. So I'm gonna have to fix that. I got a response from Julie Talbot already. I hate to have to bother her, but, it seems like it's the only way to get anything done. Okay, that should be his theme.
That's great.
I know I'm a spot behind.
Let's do Carbonite here.
Yeah, and I'll get it next time.
No worries. Thanks, Leo.
I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Going places that I've never been.
We'll make that the Johnny Jet theme. What do you say?
Seeing things that I may never see.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We're talking computers, the internet. We're talking cell phones. We're talking camcorders, home theater, laptops that die, hard drives that die. A lot of dead computers this holiday season. I think it's just the computers saying, it's time to buy a new one. Chris is on the line from Laguna Niguel, California. Hi, Chris. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Happy holidays.
Well, doing great. Well, was doing great. This HP laptop, it boots up, but all I see is a white screen. Yesterday, I was able to hook an external monitor up to it, but now...
That's a good sign. Well, okay, but that's a good sign. So that means that everything was working. But now even the external monitor doesn't work?
Correct.
Well, now I don't know what to say. If you had said it does, I get a white screen, but the external monitor works fine, I would say, well, that's obvious what went wrong. The panel in the laptop went bad. Probably it's not even the panel. Most common in laptops, it's the ribbon cable that goes from the keyboard part of the laptop to the screen part of the laptop. Think about it. You're opening, closing. You're working that ribbon cable. Not unusual for that to get frayed and broken eventually. And what you'll get is a screen that doesn't come on. Now, if your external monitor is not working or is working erratically, which is what it sounds like, then that's unfortunately not as easy a fix. It's probably the video display subsystem. And in most, not all, but most laptops, certainly all HP laptops, it is part of the logic board. It's soldered into the darn thing. There's nothing you could pull out and replace. If your logic board is dead, you got to get a new laptop. And the reason I say that is because, they can replace the logic board, but almost certainly the cost of replacing the logic board is more than the cost of a new laptop would be. So something like that, there's no easy fix, nothing I can do, no magic wand I can wave over your system to fix it. You got to call HP and you got to replace it. If the thing is more than a couple of years old, you should get a new laptop. In most cases, I don't think there's much you can do with that. The only this is why I never do a short answer. The only little thing that puzzles me is the fact that external monitor worked briefly. So in the chat room, Web5699 says, and I think he might have a point, or she might have a point, is it could be overheating. So it's working fine, then it's overheating. And maybe reflowing the solder to it could fix that. You got to find the guy that can do that, though, and that won't be an HP authorized repair shop. They'll want to just replace the logic board for well over $1,000 bucks. It's not worth it. Hey, we got somebody who actually worked on The Hobbit. David's on the line from Ventura County. Hi, David.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It is great. Did you go down to New Zealand?
No. I live here in Camarillo, which your listeners may know used to be where the state hospital was.
Yes.
And is now a university.
Okay.
But I work here in Ventura County, and we supply camera equipment for the aerial cinematography for the motion picture industry. And we had a crew there in New Zealand for about 2 or 3 months.
They do, and I remember this on Lord of the Rings, and I've seen the trailers for The Hobbit. They do, because they have this beautiful New Zealand scenery, they do a lot of aerial shots, and they're just gorgeous. Are those helicopters they use for those?
Yeah, we make camera systems for helicopters, and we also have a fixed-wing system that we don't sell them. We lease them to production companies, and we're called Space Cam systems.
Now, is my understanding that Peter Jackson bought a whole bunch of red cameras?
Yes, there were many red Epics on set, and part of the challenge with the aerial was to, because it was 3D, to get two cameras on the aerial platform.
Oh, that's right.
There was a lot of last-minute engineering that had to take place for the aerial unit.
Because this whole thing is filmed in 3D, these epics are not, by their nature, 3D. They have to make a special mount with two cameras and a mirror system for the shooting. And, of course, that's not how your mounts are probably set by default for your helicopters. So, wow.
That's right. We had special mounts. But my wife and I went to go see The Hobbit last night at one of these high-end theaters where you can buy booze and have dinner, and
that's my kind of theater. I love that.
I've never seen a 48 frame movie before, and I have to say it was quite different. It was pretty. If you weren't ready for it, it did sort of look odd.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's of course I want to see The Hobbit. I'm a big fan of Peter Jackson. I love The Lord of the Rings, and I love the book. So I want to see it for a lot of reasons. But I think from a technical point of view, the thing that's most interesting about it is it's the first major Hollywood release shot at this higher frame rate, 48 frames per second. Now, there are those who say The Hobbit is not a good example because, and I don't understand the technical stuff, but it's something to do with keyframing. They chose to do it in a way that is perhaps not ideal. And so there are some who are experts in all of this HFR, high frame rate, who say, oh, no, don't judge the high frame rate from The Hobbit. But what was it about it that you noticed that you thought was odd or different?
Well, I'm just an average guy. I'm a mechanical engineer, so I don't know about the camera system that well. So I was looking at it just like an average guy, and
right.
The action sequences look very different from a standard movie, and
they should be crisper in some way.
Yeah, I thought it was just different, and I think everybody should have the opportunity, if they can, to find a theater that projects in the 48 frames to see the difference.
I'm kind of with you. You know, I mean, the first time people saw 1080p on their TV screens, I think some people said, "Oh, that's too crisp. It's too clear." Yeah. And I think that some of that same reaction is going to happen to 48 frames. And I suspect what will happen is in 5 years, when almost all motion pictures are 48 frames per second, people will look back on these old movies and say, boy, those are smeary. Boy, those look fuzzy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a fun segment for your show that you can do.
Oh, good.
Take us back in time once a week and play something 15 years ago that you thought was really exciting.
It's so funny. I've been doing this show for more than 20 years now. And I wish I had tapes from 91 and 92 because I remember getting very excited about Windows 95 shipping. I remember I was excited about we spent a lot of time telling people how to get on the internet when it wasn't commonplace. And I would love to find some of those old tapes because it is a great idea. Let me look for some, David.
I think it would be really interesting to play some old vintage stuff that we got.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, this stuff changes. 20 years is a lifetime. Well, we'll see. Maybe Dick will have something from the Gadget Warehouse that's 20 years old. Thanks for the call, David. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And this is exactly why I wasn't happy that Kevin did this. Jason did this. There's a lot of startups being built around content. It appears the consensus is you indeed can create a big business around video for the web, but apparently that doesn't apply to a technology-focused online video casting network. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, and home theater. And anything in between. Our gadget guru's coming up. Talking about tech. Sometimes from the old days, sometimes the current days. Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, 47 after the hour. Meanwhile, I want to get some calls here. As we're getting close to the holidays, I know you need help with your technology, your buying advice, and all of that. Starting with Gene in Southington, Connecticut. I'm sorry, Sean in Southington, Connecticut. Hi, Sean. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. How about you? It's great to.
I'm great, thank you. It's good to talk to you. What can I do for you today?
I have no questions or problems.
Oh, well then, what are we going to talk about? You have good news.
I do. You're the QVC of tech. I bought Carbonite.
Yay.
Foursquare.
Yay.
Based on your recommendations.
Yay.
And also Lantronix X-Print server.
Yay. These are all, for those who wonder what these things have in common, they're all recommendations from me on the radio show or on our podcast network.
Exactly. The only problem I have is with the Lantronix X-Print server.
What's going on?
I was looking forward to having to download what do you call it? Updates and drivers and software to help me connect, because I have a PC system and iOS device, and it was absolutely seamless. So I was
You're disappointed. I didn't have to download any. You know, it's funny. The X-Print server is it's like HP's JetDirect. It's a box that you connect to a USB printer to network enable it, and it has built-in drivers for the iDevices, the iPhone and the iPad. And it's nice. It's from Lantronix. It's $100. It's lots less expensive than the HP product. And you're not the first person I've talked to who says, it just works, which is kind of what you want. But we're so used to technology just not working unless we mess around with it. Well, Sean, I'm glad you like it. That's great.
It was only $80.
It was 80. Wow.
Yeah, courtesy of your discount.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Holiday 2012. I just wanted to say that I've been listening to you and watching you on TV for so long that I forgot when I started. And
now you're making me feel old, Sean. When you're not.
You're not as old as I am. But really, when you had Mark Spagnolo on, the Wood Whisperer.
Yes.
He put a link in his woodworking page that got me hooked back up with you, and I'm so
that's nice.
Great.
Well,
because I just love what you do.
Thank you, Sean. And I think one of the things that we take pride in is that everything we do is free. The programming that we offer both on the radio and on the podcast over the internet is all free. The website is free. Tech Eye Labs is free. Our chat room is free. But that's supported by our advertisers. And so I really appreciate it. One way to show your gratitude, which you have done, and I appreciate it, is, I don't expect you to buy stuff you don't need, but if you patronize the sponsors, that makes them happy, and then it makes it possible for us to do what we do. So, Sean, you've already thanked me more than enough, so I appreciate that, and it's good to talk to you. Have a great and safe holiday. David on the line from Newberry Springs, California. Hi, David. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yep. Hello.
Hey, David.
Hello.
Hey.
Yes. How
Yeah.
are you?
Hello. I'm good.
Okay. I just had a question. Is there any way to block a certain phone number from calling your phone or texting it?
There is.
On the phone?
There is. All the phone companies offer this kind of a service. There usually is a charge, but it's usually minimal, something like 50 cents a month. And they will block. You can block a variety of things. For instance, we were talking last week about somebody who was getting text messages from Facebook over and over again, even though it wasn't a number, and he didn't have a Facebook account, and it wasn't a number he'd used with Facebook. And those were coming from what they call a short code, a 5-digit code, not a full phone number. And what I told him is, you can call a phone company and say, I don't want short codes. I want to block all short codes. You certainly can block an individual number and say, I don't want to hear from that person anymore. You can say, I don't want to get text from that person. Absolutely. Verizon charges $4 a month for a cell phone to block on a cell phone. I think AT&T is less expensive for your landline. Absolutely. And if somebody's harassing you, don't hesitate to do that. They are set up to do it. No problem. David in Fountain Valley, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, David.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. 2 questions for you. The first one is, I'm looking at getting my 11-year-old son an iPhone for one of his Christmas gifts.
It's really amazing how the age of cell phone ownership is dropping and dropping and dropping. And I understand. You know, they get out of school. You want them to be able to reach us for emergencies. It's a convenience for parents.
Well, when he comes out of school, he's like the only kid with no phone, and he's had an iPod for 2 years.
He's in what, 5th grade?
You know what, Dad? I can program it. You just have to get me one.
I think it's a great thing to do. Absolutely.
Now, I was looking at the 5S, and they're still selling the 4S, and I know the 4S technology is it's over a year old.
No, I would get him a 4S. You could save money. You could even go back to, I think they're even selling 4s. Those are free. I think it's a very good idea. Get him a good case, because my kids break these things pretty regularly.
I was listening to the reviews and reading the reviews when the 5S came out, and they were saying that the case dented real easily and scratched.
Yeah,
easily.
and the 4S is made of glass, front and back, so it's even more fragile than the 5. So certainly a case for a kid is a very important thing, and make him say, I'll give you the phone, but you have to have the case on there. Because my kids keep taking the cases off, and then they drop it and they go, oh, yes, it's glass. You drop it, it's going to break. On the other hand, I don't think it's I never think it's a bad thing to give a kid a computer if you can afford it. Introducing them to technology, this is going to be, he's growing up in a world where technology is omnipresent, and he's going to need to understand it and master it. So there's nothing wrong with that. Some things to be aware of is, it's a distraction. He may, he's going to put Angry Birds on there, and it may distract him a little bit in class. Most schools now are getting very good about telling kids to shut it down. They have to. And I'm of the opinion, I get in a battle because I'm on the board of trustees of my kids' high school, and they block Facebook and Twitter, and I'm of the opinion they should not. That one of the things schools, especially at that level, at high school level, need to do is teach kids how to live with distraction, because they're going to get out of school and there's nobody going to be blocking the Facebook and the Twitter. They need to know now. It's part of what they need to be taught.
Yeah. I have a second question for you on an entirely different subject.
Sure.
Looking at upgrading my home network to a dual band router, and I haven't heard you discuss this too often. Maybe I just missed the particular show that did. But I'm looking at between like a Netgear, the N900 dual band, and maybe one of the newer dual band AC routers.
So we're going to take a break. When we come back, and you can just take your answer on the air, because I can explain what the difference is I give you my recommendations. If you're buying a Wi-Fi router, that's coming up right after this. Yeah, here's the story. This is from SoCal Tech. This is why it frustrated me that Jason used the name This Week In for his shows, because of the confusion with, I fear that some people are going to think TWiT went out of business. And then this opening paragraph really is what frosts me. There's a lot of startups being built in Los Angeles around content. It appears the consensus is that you indeed can create a big business around video for the web, but apparently that doesn't apply to a technology-focused online video casting network, at least based on the announcement Friday by Jason Calacanis that he's winding down thisweekin.com.
With virtually unlimited storage and free online document, spreadsheet, presentation software. For a limited time, high-speed internet, 14.
Incredibly frustrating. Hey, David. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, of course. Welcome. Chadrick. Oh, God, yeah.
High-speed internet for $14.95 a month. Call 866. The number 2.
So it's just frustrating to me because I know some people will confuse it with us, as they have all along, which was the real problem I had with it from the beginning. And secondly, this conclusion that, that just shows you. And that's why I don't want any of my competition to fail, because people inevitably draw the conclusion, that's obviously a flawed business model. So he may give the network to me. Well, that's nice. I don't want his network. That's pretty funny. Thank you, Jason. Yes. Thank you so much. Give me your failed network. I'll take it. My mistake was not following his plan. But see, okay, so this is why it bugs me. Obviously, this person has heard of This Weekend and Jason, but has not heard of TWiT, or he wouldn't make that conclusion. And so this is the problem, is that, here's at least one technology writer who... Anyway, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Huh? There you go. That's right. So on TechCrunch, he says he's going to offer it to me. I got to see this. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be writers. Oh, please. See that? Ray Kurzweil goes to Google as Director of Engineering. I think that's interesting. Here's his argument about why a podcasting company is unlikely to make money. Very, very few podcasts have made it to scale, and to me that says this net business will never be big. Thank you, Jason. Because you couldn't do it. Why? Well, you need folks like Leo and Adam to make millions of dollars and have breakout success, but if they decide to stop doing their show, the networks will shutter. He's such a moron. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Yes, Leo. So Google, everybody knows this by now, but in case you don't, Google Maps is now out for the iPhone. Immediately became the #1 download on the App Store and will probably be so for the rest of the year. Thank you, Google. Google's actually been going crazy with apps in the last week. They've updated Google Plus, lots of nice new features. That's becoming, to me, my interest in Google Plus is resurging because of communities and the new photo features. I think they're doing a nice job. But this Google Maps is, of course, big. Apple Maps, such a failure, and it really underscores how difficult it is to do a good Maps app. Now, most of us have used Apple Maps without problem. So many people say, well, that seems fine to me. But there have been some fairly notorious errors. For instance, it just happened this week that a police department in Australia put on their website, whatever you do, do not use Apple's iPhone Maps to navigate around here. It could cost you your life. Apparently, 3 motorists have been stranded in 100-degree weather, out of cell phone range, in the middle of nowhere because Apple Maps said that was where the town they were going to was. It wasn't. It was effectively a desert. They were 45 miles away from the town. The map was off by 45 miles. That could have cost somebody their lives. And so it's very serious stuff. And it's not exactly Apple's fault. They were using a gazetteer, a map book, that was wrong, that confused 2 different things. And the problem is that you can't just take a bunch of data sets. Apple's using as many as 24 sources for their mapping data, including Yelp and TomTom and so forth. You can't just take a bunch of data sets like that, mush them together, and say, here's your map. You got to go through those data sets with a fine-tooth comb and make sure there aren't mistakes. And this is what Google and Nokia, 2 of the biggest map companies, and TomTom as well, for that matter, pointed out. They said, Google said, we've got a million man-hours put into this map app. We've thousands of employees going through this data, refining it, improving it, fixing it. We've got years under. I remember when Google Maps first came out years ago, there were mistakes, there were errors. It didn't do a very good job of routing you, but because it's been in use for 4 or 5 years, it's become very reliable. It really is a better product. And I think the only mistake Apple made was one of overconfidence. They pulled the plug on Google Maps before they had a program that was ready to go. So, but good news is that you now have Google Maps back on the iPhone. In fact, it's better than ever it was. It's the full Google Maps. Google would not let Apple do things like put in turn-by-turn directions and so forth because Google wanted to keep that to themselves. That's one of the reasons Apple left Google. The only negative is that you still, if you have an iPhone and you press the button, you say, Siri, take me to Washington, D.C., it still launches the Apple Maps app. It does not and will not ever launch the Google Maps app. So, it's just good news. If you have an iPhone or an iPad and you've updated to iOS 6, there isn't an iPad version yet, but you can run the iPhone version on it, and it is far better. Don't use the Apple Maps. Give Apple a few years to get that working. Tim in Eagle Rock, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey.
First, I'd like to 100% agree with you on the Apple Maps. There's another program I found for my iPhone 4 called Scout and was free, and it works great. And the new Gmail or new Google Maps works fantastic too, with the turns with a 4, where that was blocked on the iPhone 4 with the iOS update.
Right.
So
right. Usually when you upgrade your phone operating system, you expect everything to be improved. Now, in this case, it was a downgrade for Maps, and took some people off guard.
And they seem to leave some of the options off for the iPhone 4 to try to maybe force you to think about upgrading sooner than later, possibly. But,
yeah.
My question primarily, I may have another quick one if we have time, but is about, I want, you're a ham radio operator. I'm not sure how much you've gone into programming radios and things, but I'm looking for a netbook just to use to keep with a ham radio emergency kit. So all the different microprocessor-controlled radios, and they're difficult to program on the fly a lot of times where the software...
Much easier if you have the software, you plug in the USB port, Many radios now support USB. Some of you have to get a serial port, and they're programmable. Yeah, but why spend $1,000 on a notebook just to do that? There are still many very inexpensive Windows computers out there in the $200 to $300 range. They don't call them netbooks anymore because that was a failed concept.
Mm-hmm.
They were junky.
I like and there's one with an Intel, an Asus, I think EE or something. It's got the 1600 Atom processor, and
that's a great choice. It's funny because the EPCs from Asus were the original netbooks. They invented it.
Okay.
So absolutely, I have no problem with recommending it. They don't call them netbooks anymore just because it's a deprecated name, but they're very good. Nothing wrong with it. Just, there are plenty of $200 and $300 Windows notebooks out there that are just fine, and especially for something like that where speed isn't critical, build quality isn't critical.
No, I mean, for me, it's more the size and nice to have something with a long battery life like the Asus has. I saw one. There's a Acer one there right now. It has an AMD processor, but it's only got about 5 hours of battery life.
Yeah.
Maybe less than
Right now, Intel owns the low power space. AMD has fallen behind in that regard. So, yeah, I'd probably stick with Intel. And you can get, it could be an Atom or a Celeron processor, as with the old netbooks, because again, speed's not the important, and battery life is. Of course, you'll have to keep it charged up, Tim. You can't just put it in a kit and leave it in the closet. It'll, as you know, it'll leak out.
I understand that, but nice to have something with out of the box thing, a 12.5-hour battery, so that way I can use it for a while. Or maybe
12 and a half hours. Wow. What's the model on that?
I don't recall.
That's incredible. I'd take one of those. That's great.
Has a 6-cell battery in it, and I'd have to look it up right now. But it seemed like it would be a perfect one for you. The only thing I didn't like is the only one I could find that's available is in white. I'd rather have a black one.
Yeah, that was the original EPCs. The EEE notebooks were all white too. In fact, I have one in my museum behind me. Wow, that's pretty good. That's great battery life.
That's what I thought. So it'd be great for a field operation if you're running a portable HF station or you just want to take a QRP radio up to the mountaintop and do some logging and making sure to have something where you can be away from commercial power. So I thought that would be great. One other quick question, if I could, related to the iPhone. I've got a 4 and due for an upgrade, but I don't want to lose my any recommendations or any knowledge you have about the unlimited data plan.
If you're on AT&T, they're keeping them. You have to specifically tell them, I want to keep it. And they will warn you if you're going to lose it. So it is worth paying attention. But AT&T, so far, is not disconnecting people if they ask for it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Shoot. So I still got to do that ad. And I still have to do the Wi-Fi explainer. Maybe this is it. Oh, it's Android though. He doesn't want Android. He needs Windows because the software to do this programming is Windows. Yeah, you don't want this. This is just. And these are really cheap because they're crap. Do not buy. There was a woman on the cruise who had bought one of these on eBay, like $80 computers running Android. It was so horrible, so slow. It was so junky. Oh. He says, very, very few podcasts have made it to scale, and to me that sounds like this business will never be big. Why? Well, you need folks like Leo or Adam to make millions of dollars and have breakout success. But if they decide to stop doing their show, the networks will shutter. It's that simple. It just doesn't make sense to invest in a business with this kind of limited upsize. In fact, the only way to make podcasting a real business would be if you could somehow get the 7 top podcasters to team up and make a mega network. If Leo, Kevin Rose, Adam Carolla, Kevin Pollak, plus 3 or 4 more did the shows as one company, it would have 8 to 15 million in revenue. Most of it would be ours, and worth 50 to 75 million. But that's a lot of personality to try and corral. I dare say that's impossible.
Well, if he wasn't
He's still being a dick.
If he wasn't such an asshole, maybe he could build a real network. But
Well, he flopped. He flopped.
Oh, you're on there.
Yeah, of course I am. He flopped, and now he wants to say, well, it's because there's just no business here. And this was, by the way, always his plan. The whole reason he did this weekend is because he wanted to force me to merge with him.
No, he wanted to make money, and he wants to make money being the jerk he is, so good luck.
Yeah.
We're doing quite fine without him.
Well, but this bugs me because, and then here's another article.
Don't give him too much more energy. It's not worth it.
No, I know. But look at this article, and this bothers me because this is the problem. There's a lot of startups being built in Los Angeles around content. The consensus is you can indeed create a big business around video for the web, but apparently that doesn't apply to a technology-focused online video casting network, at least based on the announcement by Jason. He's winding down.
Well, why don't they call us for an interview?
I should write them a note and say, hey,
we have a successful network.
Jason doesn't really own this.
No, Jason, you owned it, and Jason kind of came on the tail end.
Moron. Anyway, enough. Gazelle Jason, I like
All
that.
right.
For a little ride.
All right.
My massage, but
I'll see you later.
Go to Cairo, Shiloh, Moscow, Chichen Itza, Krakatoa, Shenandoah, Mauna Loa, Terra Pisa, Warsaw, Aqaba, Shangri-La, Transylvania.
All right, Leo, DSL Extreme Billboard here, Nod 32 live read.
Rangoon, Cancun, Saskatoon, Kowloon, Cameroon, Brigadoon, to the moon. Let's go everywhere, man. Lots of fun out there.
Now this should be the Johnny Jet theme.
Out of your chair, man.
Let's go everywhere. This portion of the Tech Guy Show brought to you by DSL Extreme for high-speed internet at an amazing price. Call 866-2-GET-NET to get DSL Extreme. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. And I apologize, I forgot to. I had mentioned that I was going to talk a little bit about Wi-Fi, and I'd forgotten to do that. So let me do that right now. And then we will get to our next call of the day, who is Kevin in Mountain View, has a good idea, wants to use a Chromebook for smart TV. Let's see if we can do that. But first, let's talk about Wi-Fi. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. One of the reasons I don't talk about which Wi-Fi access point to buy is because they're pretty much a commodity now. You could make the case that maybe Netgear is marginally better than Linksys, and that perhaps D-Link is marginally better than Netgear, and Apple might be marginally better than all of the above, but they're all roughly the same. The reason that you see some that are dual band is that the 2.4 gigahertz frequency that Wi-Fi had been on is getting overcrowded. The reason Wi-Fi is on that band, the 2.4 gigahertz band, is because it's an unregulated band. It's set aside by the FCC for things like this. Anything goes. Anybody can use this band, and as because they want to encourage innovation. It's great. But as a result, not only is Wi-Fi there, but there's a lot of other things there. For everything, baby monitors, telephones to microwave ovens, and cell phones are all on this band, and it's getting very crowded. And all you have to do is, if you live in a metro area, is browse the Wi-Fi access spots, and in any given spot, you might see a dozen using the same 2.4 gigahertz. So newer routers support two bands, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. Now, 5 gigahertz is less crowded, but doesn't go through walls as well. The higher the frequency, the more, when you get these microwave frequencies, the more likely it will bounce off of stuff. So if there's no congestion at all, in general, 2.4 will work better in a home going through walls. But if there's congestion on the 2.4 gigahertz band, 5 is often preferable. Most routers nowadays will give you the choice, and you should try them both and see which one works. And certainly, it's a good idea to get both just in case. What if your neighbor moves in and he's running some giant 2.4 gigahertz transmitter, all within legal limits, but still kind of jamming your own frequency? It'd be nice to be able to go to 5. Now, there's a new standard. Also, Wi-Fi's, there are standards. There's 802.11. The first was B of all. Actually, the first was just 802.11. And then there was B. And after B, there came G. And after G, there came N. And most Wi-Fi routers, I forgot A. They went backwards. B, G, A, N. N is the standard for most of them, and N's probably the one you should get. There is a new standard coming that has not yet been ratified called AC. And it has all sorts of interesting features. And there are a couple of companies now making pre-ratification AC Wi-Fi access spots. I played with a couple of them. The problem is, to get the benefit of AC, you have to have AC on everything. This was true of N too. N steps down and works fine with A, B, G, but it doesn't get its full speed and distance unless you're using N on the laptops and the devices that you're using. Now, everything uses N, so that's not such a big deal. But very few devices have AC capability, so you won't get some of the real benefits of AC. AC does some wild things. For instance, it can aim. It aims itself at whatever's being. It's amazing, and in the long run, it might be very useful. Some of the people, Buffalo, I think, is selling an AC Wi-Fi access spot, but they sell with it an AC media bridge, so that you could plug your TV into that and then have the AC Wi-Fi access spot. So that way, there's some high-speed connection between them. I found that they worked well, but not so much better that I would abandon my N stuff. In fact, I had an AC router, and I don't use it. So I'd say look for N. Dual band is great. It's a very handy thing to have. If you're talking brand on Wi-Fi, Linksys is the commodity, the cheap brand. And I've had problems with it. You don't want one with WPS until they fix that, and they haven't been very fast to fix it. WPS is that push button to you push a button and it pairs up with your notebook or your tablet. The problem with that is it's inherently insecure. It was implemented poorly, and it means somebody can crack into your router very, very easily if you have WPS enabled. So, and most of the Linksys routers have WPS, and it cannot be disabled in those routers. So I like D-Link. I like Netgear. In my opinion, the best, which doesn't have this WPS issue, is the Airport Extreme from Apple, but it's also by far the highest price. More than twice as much as the other guys. It has, to me, I buy them because I don't want to fuss with it. It works well. It has the best rejection of competing signals. I find it really does a great job. So, if price is no object, do what I do. I bought an Airport Extreme by Apple. If you care about the price, then I think D-Link makes excellent stuff. Kevin's in Mountain View. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Leo. Hey, I'm watching you on my big screen right now, which is 90% of my TV viewing is watching your network.
Gosh, I love you, Kevin. Now, how do you put it up there? Do you use a Roku, or what are you using to watch it?
I'm using my MacBook, and I connect it through VGA.
Excellent. So you open the browser to twit.tv, and you make it full screen, and there it is on the TV. And we actually send a pretty good quality feed out. It's not HD, it's not 1080p, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's great.
Good.
The other 10% of my viewing is using the MacBook as creating an ad hoc network to push the Netflix app, and I never used Chrome OS, so I don't know if that option is built into the operating system if I wanted to go with a Chromebook.
It's not. Really, Chrome OS is very limited. For one thing, I don't think they have Netflix on Chrome OS, do they? Netflix uses... Go ahead.
I would use the Chromebook as a router to get my TV connected to the internet.
Yeah, I wouldn't do... I think that's not going to work. It'd be easier and would work better and would cost probably less is a Google TV. Logitech and some others make Google TVs. Sony does. It's designed to do exactly this. You connect it to the internet via Wi-Fi or Ethernet. You connect it to your TV via HDMI. And one of the things that's really cool is the Google TV, unlike Roku, unlike Apple TV, doesn't have its own port. It's an overlay on top of your regular signal. which really works wonderfully. I'd say get a Google TV. You'd be better off. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Da-da-da. So now I'm caught up in ads.
Holidays.
Almost.
I really do.
Well, one more segment. All caught up. Got Dickie D coming up here.
Traffic, parking. It's jammed with people sending holiday gifts. And if mailing is something you do in business, you don't have.
Is that you in the chat room? Okay, Killer BG
You need
is
do what I
obviously
do.
Kevin.
You need to use Stamps.com. Stamps.com
Oh, no.
is the
HDMI does
ultimate
not
mailing
make me look
solution.
better.
You can print all the
Nothing can
postage
make me
you
look
need,
better.
Buy it and print it from your own computer.
Shannon
or
Morse
printer.
makes
You
me
don't
look
have to get it
better.
from your desk. You can print right on the envelope. You can take your address book from QuickBooks, from your computer.
Can you? But okay, so Chrome does, but does the problem is that the Netflix app on the web uses Silverlight, which I'm pretty sure is not available on a Chromebook. So I don't know. Somewhere I should have a Chromebook. Good old snubs. So if I had as Shannon was sitting here and I was and was moving her mouth and I was talking, then I would look better. Hey, Dickie D.
Hey, Leo. How are you, pal?
I am well.
Good.
So, Chrome OS does have a Netflix app. All right. Well, I'll stand corrected. So we're going to get to you in a little bit.
Okay. And Giz Fizz is at 7 tonight.
Delayed because I have to do wraps. Yep. All right. Hang in there.
Hey, is that wood thing in front of you new?
No, that's been here all along. It's just you can see it better in this shot. Normally, normally I have a lower third in front of me that blocks it. See, at the lower third's there, you can't see it.
Okay.
But
I've seen the little TWiT thing, but I never saw that.
Yeah, it's sitting on. That's what it's sitting on.
I see.
And I don't know. For some reason, it seems more obvious than it used to. This is monitor. In here's monitors.
Oh.
I can see what's going on. You see?
Oh, nice.
Yes. Isn't that sweet? We actually had this built.
Boy.
Yeah, fancy, huh?
You could do like Kitty Carlisle and drill a hole in the desk and have a mini spotlight down there shining up.
I need that. I need an eye light. All right, hang in there. I got to do an ad for
do it.
Stamps.com. This is the time. This is like the time of year for Stamps.com because you know why? Because I'll tell you why. If you're a pro, if you do a lot of mailing, Dick, you do a lot of mailing.
I do.
The last thing you want to do is go down to the post office with the amateurs. This is amateur month at the post office. Everybody and their brothers there mailing stuff, buying stamps and stuff, and you just get in the way. They just get in the way of your normal business. See, you don't have to do this anymore because you can do everything you could do at the post office except for chat up that hot postal clerk. Everything else you can do from your desktop.
Yeah.
Well, if you can't. They're most of the thing. You can't go to your post office box. You have to still get up and do that. But everything else you could do. You could buy and print U.S. postage from your computer, your printer. You don't need a postage meter. You don't need special ink. The mail carrier will come and get the packages, so that means you don't have to get up to mail anything. And you get discounts and stuff you just can't get at the Postal Service. I really like that. And one of the things about Stamps.com that's great if you do a lot of mailing is it will import addresses. If you're an Amazon, eBay, PayPal, Etsy seller, a lot of websites like that just take the address right out of the buyer and put that onto a mailing label. Same thing with QuickBooks and your address book on your computer, so it makes it very easy to do mailings. If you're doing international mailing, it'll fill out the form. It's just a really good deal. So I just want you to try it free for a month. Now, here's the deal. If you go to Stamps.com and click the radio microphone in the upper right-hand corner and then enter the offer code TECHGUY, okay, you can get this $110 bonus offer. You get a digital USB scale, a $5 supply kit, a 4-week trial, and $55 in free postage. Stamps.com. Please click the microphone. Use the promo code TECHGUY. You're going to love it. Stamps.com.
I'm sorry, Leo. All right, Carbonite, your last live read here.
Thank you.
I sat on the rug, biding my time, drinking her wine. We talked until 2, and then she said, it's time for bed.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That doesn't work. Not one bit. 8888 Ask Leo's the phone number. Guess who's here? It's Santa Claus. Or no, I'm sorry. It's Dick DeBartolo. The mustache fooled me. Oh, he's going to put his hat on. There you go. Now who is it? Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how are you?
I'm great. Mad Magazine's maddest writer. Longest continuous run in Mad Magazine in history. You've been in every episode. What was the first issue of Mad Magazine you were in?
Issue 69.
I was debating with my friend Pete Hale, who's a mad aficionado. He said he wasn't in the early 60s, was he? And I said, I don't know.
62. So
that's
this
the early
60s. 50 years. It is.
Holy cow. But now we should point out, you started it as a teenager. You were a kid.
I was a kid. I was a child. I was in the womb, and I was just pushing out manuscripts.
Wait a minute. You've been in every episode of Mad Magazine for the last 50 years? Every episode?
No. I freelanced for about 5 or 6 years, and then I started hitting my stride.
I see.
So it's something like 420 issues now, consecutive.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Dick also is I don't know if you know it to look at him, but he's a gadget hound. Well, just look behind him. You can see all the gadgets in his Disneyland. What do you got for us this week?
Oh, well, you know what? This is a good Christmas gift, except for all the eating that goes on. So it's from ThinkGeek, and it's a really nifty little portable LED body scale.
Oh, great. Just what I want to do. Weigh myself.
Yeah, I know. It's a great gift, but I would warn the people you give it to is don't start weighing yourself till like February, because after all the fruitcake and the desserts and the office parties and stuff like that.
Just look at it longingly until February.
Yeah. I mean, it's like 8 1/4 inches long, and it's 4 1/3 inches wide.
It's tiny.
It's tiny, 3/4 of an inch thick, and consequently, you weigh yourself slightly different than a regular scale because it's a much tinier platform to get on. So you just stand on it and you wait, and when you hear a beep, you step off it, and then the weight flashes up, and it stays on the screen for like 8 or 10 seconds, so then you can see your weight.
So if you're really obsessive, you could put this in your purse.
Well, yeah, if you're But what the good thing is, it's a good travel scale, and also when you get at your destination, you tend to buy souvenirs and crap. So before you head back to the airport, you could also weigh your luggage and make sure you're not overweight before you get to the ticket counter.
I was overweight before I was born.
Well, it goes up to 330 pounds.
Oh, good. The good news about this is that you can't get it yet. It's out of stock.
Already?
It's back ordered. Yeah, because Dick talked about this last week on the podcast, and I think you sold it out. So they say in 1 to 3 weeks they might get some more in.
Oh,
so good.
Well,
so you can skip the holidays.
Yeah, skip the holidays, and it's a good price, $29.99.
That's why.
It's really good looking. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have one?
I do. You know what, Leo? What I do is I can get you a deal on one that I can get you 20% off your weight, or maybe 25% off your weight.
I pay the full price, but I get 20% off the weight.
But you'll get the 30. I can talk them into a 30% weight discount.
You know, that would be a good reason. That's a great idea for promotion for scales.
Yeah, use offer code GizWizLight.
Not to save money, to save pounds.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Dick, once again, you see, this is Mr. Out of the Box. Out of the box. I think he's out of his tree.
Yeah, out of his mind.
Dick DeBartolo, go to gizwiz.biz. That's where you'll find links to information about this product and all the other cool gadgets he mentions on this show, ABC's World News Now, and, of course, his podcast, which is called The Giz Wiz and is every Tuesday on our TWiT network. And, by the way, while you go there, visit the What the Heck Is It page. If you can figure out what that little gadget is on that page, you could be in the running for an autographed copy of Mad Magazine, the February issue. Yeah, gizwiz.biz. Dickie D, thanks so much.
Okay, pal.
Catch you a little later on this afternoon for the Giz Fizz.
And I'll see you Tuesday on the Giz Wiz.
Yes, sir. Brian in Oregon, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Brian.
Hello.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Leo. Love your show. Been listening to you for years.
Thank you, sir.
My question, I currently use a media player, and I have a hard drive hooked up to it.
Uh-huh.
An external hard drive. But it's getting old. They're not doing updates for it, so I want to get a good media player to replace it. That's getting current updates and plays a lot of different types of media files.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, what you're talking about is something called a network-attached storage device. This thing is on the network, right?
Well, no, I'm not using it on network because I drive a truck.
Oh,
so
you're using it in the truck. So essentially, it's a hard drive with media on it, and it's hooked up to a TV.
Yes.
Yeah, and it has a lot of storage, so you can put a ton of movies on that. I think there's a number of good choices. Actually, Dickie D told me about a really cool one. I think it's from Seagate. It's called the Go. There are a number. Western Digital makes something like this as well. The Go Flex, that's what it is. Seagate makes a USB portable hard drive that has Wi-Fi built into it. So it lets you, the Go Flex lets you play data from your Go Flex to, do you play it back on a TV or a laptop?
I play it on a TV.
Okay. That may not be the ideal, because the idea of the Go Flex is that you use Wi-Fi to play it back. Let's see, it has USB 3, FireWire, or eSATA. Yeah, we need something that will work on your TV set, huh? Something with is it HDMI out? What's out of it?
It's HDMI, and I tried the Western Digital, the live TV.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem to support as many formats.
Yeah. Yeah. So you want DivX, MKV, that kind of thing.
Everything, yes.
Yeah. Chat room, you got any ideas for a hardware device? It might just be an interface to a USB drive, but it needs to have HDMI. And then so you plug that into the TV, so you're not wirelessly streaming, you're streaming via wired. It's basically a hard drive with some playing stuff. And it needs, I'm trying to think, maybe a Plex machine would be a good choice. The Mike in the chat room says it's his impression that WDTV plays almost any format. I haven't tried it lately either. Maybe they've improved in a variety of things it sells. It's from Western Digital. It is essentially a media player. And there's our big drives, and they're pretty affordable. I guess I would look at them again, see they might have upgraded their capabilities. Hey, thanks for listening. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the TWiT Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.